moment he was just a student in a lecture. The next, the world became a death game with a single prompt: choose your class. While the crowd panicked and grabbed for swords or shields, Songwoo saw the ultimate cheat code hidden in the cards. He bypassed the basic rolls to awaken the most feared power in the deck, the Necromancer. What others dismissed as a weak, garbage class became a nightmare for anyone standing in his path. He doesn't need a party when every monster he slaughters joins his undying legion. From a single skeleton to a massive army, he is turning this apocalypse into a personal playground of conquest. The gods watching this game thought they were in control, but they made a fatal mistake. They gave a ruthless strategist the power over death, and now he's coming to take the throne.
Stay tuned.
Traffic is at a complete standstill, with cars packing every lane of the highway in a bumper-to-bumper gridlock. The annoyed people around them shout to stop pushing. A modern subway station entrance stands empty, surrounded by hazy city buildings. Someone gets caught in a dense crowd of people pushing to get onto a subway train and shouts at them to stop. A modern building stands on a city street while a few pedestrians walk by and vehicles pass on the road. A bus wheel locks up and skids across the pavement, bringing the vehicle to a sudden stop. A massive crowd of people swarms the entrance of a public bus, pushing and struggling chaotically to board the already packed vehicle. Sungwoo leans forward with his hands on his knees, exhausted and sweating as he shouts that commuting to college is the worst. Sungwoo clenches his fist, his face contorted with pain and frustration as sweat beads on his skin, and he considers dropping out of school or finding a new place to live. Jisoo grabs Sungwoo's shoulder from behind, questioning if his attitude is right for a former Special Forces reserve sergeant. Hanho stands over Jisoo and the seated Sungwoo with a mocking expression, questioning if Sungwoo lied about his Special Forces service. He taunts him, asking how a man who endured extreme military training could not handle a 2-hour commute. A man with a smug expression confronts Sungwoo, condescendingly questioning him about avoiding his military service and lacking any plans for the future, which makes Sungwoo look annoyed and uncomfortable. Hanho looks forward with a determined expression, clenching his fist as he tells Sungwoo that unification will happen. Sungwoo stands over the bleeding man on the ground, yelling at him about politics and a breakup with Mi-young before stabbing him. Sungwoo walks with Hanho on a campus path, telling him not to bring up the girl's name. He reminds Hanho about the advice he gave him 3 years ago at the welcome party, which was to not date anyone in the same college. Jisoo walks up a long outdoor staircase toward a modern building, with 2 other people climbing far ahead of him. Hanho watches from the bottom of the stairs as a figure walks up the wide steps toward a large building. Sungwoo stands silently in the glowing dark forest, his expression thoughtful as he looks to his left while another person remains partially visible nearby. Someone's feet, clad in pants and slip-on shoes, abruptly stop moving. Sungwoo looks down to the side with a sly smirk, touching his chin as he asks Hanho if he is crying and if he was too harsh. Jisoo points frantically toward the sky with a distressed expression, while Sungwoo shields his eyes to look up, appearing puzzled. A system notification displays the progress for Gate E0032, showing monster completion at 99%. Hanho stands with Sungwoo. A man smirks at Sungwoo and teases him about missing a woman, but Sungwoo, looking distressed, frantically explains what he saw. He insists a message appeared about downloading monsters, claiming it was at 99% before it disappeared completely upon reaching 100%. Jisoo points her hand upwards at the roof of the library building. Hanho stands with a companion, their backs turned as they look up at a modern building, and one of them points towards it. An enraged man grabs Hanho by the collar and shakes him violently, yelling about the difference between video games and reality while Hanho struggles, insisting he definitely saw something. Sungwoo dismisses Hanho's concerns, telling him he is just imagining things from drinking too much. Hanho looks down, reluctantly accepting the explanation. Hanho's head whips to the side as a slap connects, his facial features distorting from the immense force of the impact. Jisoo and Sungwoo hurry up an outdoor staircase with their backpacks. Jisoo asks to grab coffee because his mind is all over the place, but Sungwoo refuses, stating there is no time since Professor Kim is always punctual. Hanho releases a surge of green energy, causing a rumble that startles the other character. Jisoo stumbles down the stairs, yelling after Hanho that he really saw words in the sky and that he'll see him at lunch. Hanho tells him to cut the crap, turning to walk up the stairs and saying he'll see him later. Jisoo and 3 companions wait for an elevator on the building's first floor. A glowing sign marks the door to 404 classroom in a bright, empty hallway. Jisoo sits in a classroom as a teacher in a suit lectures from the front, standing beside a bright projector screen. Sungwoo slumps in his seat, his eyes half closed as he struggles to stay awake. He thinks to himself that he is sleepy and should have had coffee before coming. Jisoo struggles to stay awake, his vision blurring as his consciousness fades. He grips his gun, his mouth hanging open as he fights to remain upright. Jisoo stares up at a large, glowing blue screen as a bright light flashes. The system asks which class offers the best chance of survival in an apocalyptic world and tells her to make her selection now. Sungwoo looks up in shock, his eyes wide with panic as a bead of sweat forms on his face. A digital interface displays a question asking which class offers the best chance of survival in an apocalyptic world, demanding an immediate selection. A blue system interface appears, displaying a prompt that demands an immediate selection regarding an apocalyptic world. Sungwoo rubs his eye with his fist, his face contorted in discomfort and exhaustion. The white and gray device activates, emitting a powerful blue glow and crackling with electrical energy. Jisoo sits at a desk, his face obscured by shadow as he focuses intently on the item in front of him. Jisoo and the other characters react with shock as a complete blackout engulfs them, and Hanho yells in panic that he cannot see anything. Sungwoo stands in unnatural darkness, questioning how it could be so dark when it's still daytime. He struggles to see anything in front of him and realizes this is not an ordinary blackout. Jisoo holds his non-functional phone with a panicked expression, shouting that it won't turn on and questioning what is going on. Jisoo stares at her smartphone with a shocked expression, asking aloud if she is the only one seeing what is on her screen. Jisoo realizes she isn't alone as other people in the crowd also begin to react. Glowing holographic screens materialize in the air before them, all displaying the same question. The prompt asks everyone to select a class that offers the best chance of survival in an apocalyptic world, causing the crowd to murmur in confusion. Jisoo stares at a glowing, translucent screen materializing before him as other figures stand in the shadows. An urgent system message appears, stating this is not a hallucination and that everyone sees the same thing, demanding he select a class to ensure his survival in an apocalyptic world. A glowing blue-green interface displays a critical countdown with only 15 seconds remaining. Jisoo grimaces and shields his eyes with one hand as a bright turquoise energy erupts around him. Jisoo stands enveloped in a teal light as glowing cards materialize and float in the air around him. Two stylized playing cards materialize in a swirl of glowing energy, one depicting a hooded figure with daggers and the other a masked figure with a sword. Two illustrated character cards, one showing a wizard and the other a warrior, swirl into view surrounded by glowing particles. Hanho notices numerous glowing, translucent cards floating in the air around the group and yells for everyone not to touch anything, warning them of the potential danger. Jisoo's brow furrows in alarm, her eyes glowing wide as she urgently questions their inaction in the face of imminent danger. Jisoo stares at a futuristic display surrounded by glowing cards, a countdown showing only 10 seconds remaining as he realizes he must choose one. Jisoo stares at the glowing illustrated cards, her mind racing to decipher their rules under immense time pressure. Jisoo's heart pounds as she stares intently, watching a digital timer in her vision count down rapidly from 8 seconds to 7. Jisoo stares with wide-eyed surprise as a card emits a powerful flash of light, causing other cards to materialize and float around him. A powerful glowing sword slams into the ground in front of the group, causing an impact that makes Jisoo, Sungwoo, and Raiti recoil in horror. Hanho holds a sword in surprise as a concerned Jisoo looks on, while Sungwoo and others in the background react with shock. Jisoo's eye widens in shock as the glowing warrior card dissipates into particles and disappears. Sungwoo bites his thumb with a distressed look, suddenly remembering the system's question about the class with the highest chance of survival as a glowing interface counts down the final 5 seconds. Jisoo looks at the fanned-out glowing cards, noticing each one has a different number of stars. Sungwoo lunges forward, surrounded by streaking energy, deciding he will just grab the card with the most stars. A system message confirms the class card selection. Jisoo stands cloaked as green energy erupts around her, illuminating a giant spectral skull that materializes overhead and lets out a roar as a system message announces her new class, the 5-star Necromancer. Sungwoo stares at his outstretched hand with wide eyes as a turquoise magical energy emanates from his palm, making him question if he is a necromancer. A system window declares the first round of class selection has concluded, stating that those who failed to make a selection will have better luck next time. Sungwoo and his group suddenly reappear in the classroom, enveloped in a bright flash of light as he glows intensely at the center of the room, leaving the other students staring in shocked confusion at their abrupt return. A gloved hand grips and slides a cylindrical device topped with a glowing orb. Jisoo strains as he grips the hilt of the massive, elaborate sword, attempting to raise it. A fatal error corrupts the system. Jisoo holds up a newly manifested sword for the group to see. She explains that the sword came down after she chose the warrior card. Sungwoo, Hanho, and Raiti stare at the weapon in shock. Sungwoo looks up at the ceiling with a bewildered expression, questioning aloud why he has become a necromancer but hasn't received any special abilities or seen anything appear before him. Sungwoo flinches from a loud crash, his eyes widening in shock as red splatters spray into the air in front of him. Jisoo screams in agony as a gloved fist strikes him violently from above, sending a large splatter of blood from the impact. Jisoo screams in agony, begging someone to get the thing with glowing yellow eyes and clawed hands off his face. A figure lands a violent kick on another, sending them recoiling from the impact as blood splatters from the blow. A blade plunges into the armored torso repeatedly, causing blood to splatter violently with each thrust. Jisoo extends her blood-stained hand, her fingers curled as she reaches out from the darkness. Jisoo recoils intensely, blood staining his shirt as several figures lie on the dark ground around him. A bloodied hand with a glowing palm rests on the tile floor, which is covered in blood. A small, hooded skeletal figure with glowing eyes stands over an injured person lying in a pool of blood, holding a bloodied knife. The monstrous creature screeches, its yellow eyes glowing and its sharp fangs bared near a bloodied blade. Sungwoo and his companions recoil in collective terror, screaming and stumbling backward from an unseen threat rushing toward them. Jisoo stands in the foreground, her shadow falling over the scene as a small, cloaked righty perches on top of a bloodied Sungwoo, who lies defeated on the floor surrounded by overturned chairs. Jisoo stands paralyzed with fear before a shadowy monster, his hands glowing. He remains completely still, believing any movement will attract the creature's attention. The armored creature thrashes violently with its snarling maw wide open, sending debris flying as a sharp weapon lies nearby on the ground. Two terrified individuals scream at Minsu, who stands between them holding his sword, pleading for him to do something about the approaching threat. Righty stands over the bloodied body holding a knife as Hanho turns his back, panicking and asking what to do, while Jisoo urgently points at a sword and yells at him to use it. Hanho's hair and eyes glow a bright teal as he smirks maliciously, asking Minsu if he remembers him. Jisoo screams, his face contorted in frustration and anguish as he demands to know what he is supposed to do. Jisoo looks upward with a wry, resigned expression, concluding that he is screwed. An attacker lunges forward, their leg erupting in an explosive kick that sends a burst of energy and debris flying. A goblin-like creature with glowing yellow eyes lunges forward, gripping a knife. A hooded figure with glowing eyes lunges with a dagger at Jisoo, who screams in terror among the overturned desks and regrets not running away earlier. Righty stares at a shadowy monster with glowing yellow eyes and claws, his own eye wide with terror as he realizes turning his back will be the end for him. A figure executes a powerful spin kick, the force of the blow scattering debris. Jisoo unleashes a blinding energy explosion, striking a spectral, sword-wielding figure and forcing it to recoil from the impact. A hooded figure with glowing yellow eyes slams into the ground, unleashing a powerful shockwave. Sungwoo staggers backward with wide eyes, looking down in alarm at a small, snarling shadow beast at his feet. A pair of hands forcefully grips the top edge of a dark panel. A man glowing green looms over Jisoo's slumped form on the ground, screaming for the bastard to get lost. Jisoo stands amidst a chaotic pile of overturned chairs, manipulating them with a glowing energy that emanates from his hands. A goblin-like creature with glowing yellow eyes stares forward, a smirk revealing its prominent fangs. Jisoo screeches to a halt on her bicycle as a cloaked assailant lunges towards her with a blade. Jisoo grits his teeth and screams in distress, his body shaking from the impact. Desks and chairs fly through the air, overturning and scattering across the room. Jisoo drives an energy-infused blow into her opponent, slamming them to the ground and drawing blood from the impact. The hooded figure with yellow eyes lies dead on the ground in a pool of dark blood. Jisoo's body glows as he presses an overturned shopping cart down onto a figure on the ground, breathing heavily from the effort among scattered chairs. Jisoo looks up in surprise as a glowing holographic message appears before her, announcing she has received 10 gold for defeating a goblin. Jisoo stares in shock at a blue holographic message announcing he has received gold for defeating a goblin. Hanho clutches his sword, his eyes wide with terror as the surrounding people recoil and murmur in panic. Sungwoo looks on with a concerned expression as a bright light radiates beside him, internally questioning the message about goblins and gold and wondering if the world has become a fantasy game. A bright light flashes, and a message appears, informing Sungwoo that he can command the dead under his authority. A blue interface displays the command list, showing page 1 of 3, which details a level 1 goblin skeleton equipped with a dagger, its species listed as goblin, and its attribute as undead. Sungwoo stares in confusion at a blue holographic screen displaying a command list for a level 1 goblin skeleton, an undead creature equipped with a goblin dagger. Hanho screams in panic, pointing frantically behind Jisoo where a small, glowing blue entity attacks a severed limb on the ground. Teal and black energy swirls into a dense, glowing vortex. Sungwoo unleashes his ability, Blaze, as a bright teal-green aura and swirling dark energy erupt from his body. Jisoo looks up at a monstrous, glowing green entity materializing in the air above a floating sword. Jisoo's eyes widen in shock, her brow furrowing as tears begin to well up from a sudden realization. A skeletal figure in a dark hooded cloak lunges forward to grab a dagger, its body glowing with teal energy. A massive, bright cyan energy blast erupts forward from an obscured source. He declares that his necromancer class lets him summon. Jisoo confronts a cloaked figure with glowing eyes that stands amidst numerous spectral blue skulls and skeletal hands, identifying the presence as the undead. Righty reveals a skull-like face and sharp teeth from beneath his hood, his teal eyes glowing intensely as energy emanates from his body. Jisoo faces forward as two goblin-like monsters lunge from a doorway, one brandishing a blade as they attack. Two small, blue-skinned creatures crouch in a low stance, holding daggers and baring their teeth as their yellow eyes glow. Jisoo, Hanho, and Sungwoo scream in terror as they discover two more enemies have appeared. A hooded figure brandishes a dagger at Jisoo, who stands protectively over a small, kneeling, cloaked figure. The skeletal being, Righty, stands with glowing blue eyes as blue smoke emanates from its body, a system message overhead declaring that the minion is awaiting a command. Jisoo's face contorts in pure rage as he screams for them to fight and kill the bastards for him. Righty, a skeletal figure in a hooded robe, stands within swirling green energy, his eyes glowing blue as he holds a sword and utters the word, spring. Two small, goblin-like creatures with glowing yellow eyes look up, startled by a giant dark leg looming over them. Righty drives a glowing energy blade into Sungwoo's chest. Jisoo's skeletal arm drives a knife into the chest of the goblin-like monster, causing blood to splatter from the wound. Righty clashes his sword against another monstrous figure, their blades sparking upon the violent impact. Righty clashes weapons with two other warriors in a chaotic melee. A monster with glowing yellow eyes and sharp teeth bites down on Righty's skeletal arm, snapping the bone. The skeletal figure with glowing blue eyes turns sharply, knife in hand, as Jisoo, a small horned creature, slams into its side. Jisoo watches the two small, hooded figures clash below him, concluding that at this rate, he will have to fight them again himself. Two small creatures with glowing yellow eyes lunge forward, one of them raising a knife to attack. Sungwoo shouts at Minsu to give him the sword, reaching his hand out while Minsu clutches the weapon. Sungwoo screams for the weapon, shouting his intent to kill the monsters, while Hanho reacts with shock and questions his demand as Jisoo looks on. Jisoo screams in panic, his face contorted and beaded with sweat as he yells that the class is his and he chose it. Sungwoo furiously points at his companion, yelling at him to go and kill them. Two snarling monsters with glowing yellow eyes lunge forward, one of them brandishing a knife. Hanho screams in terror, sweating profusely as he is overwhelmed by the lunging monsters. Jisoo stands over Sungwoo and places a helmet on the ground, dismissively telling him to keep his sword to peel potatoes as he reacts in shocked disbelief. Righty screams and charges forward, throwing a chair at the hooded skeletal figure which stands ready with two knives and glowing blue eyes. Righty is violently thrown backward by an explosive, unseen impact, the cloaked figure shrieking as his yellow eyes glow. The skeletal figure in a dark hood lunges forward, brandishing a sword as its cyan eyes glow. A blood-splattered skeletal arm drives a knife into a victim while other bloody hands claw at the target. Sungwoo pants heavily, biting his finger with a distressed expression as two system notifications appear around him, granting him gold for defeating goblins. Blood drips from the edge of a glowing blade. A skeletal figure in a dark hood stands with glowing blue eyes, holding a blood-stained sword. Jisoo stops short, startled by a small, hooded skeletal figure that stands before her holding a short sword in the dimly lit room. The skeletal figure Righty stands over a person, his eyes glowing as he holds a knife. Sungwoo stares in shock, his eyes wide and his mouth hanging slightly open as a bead of sweat rolls down his temple. Righty, a hooded skeletal figure, fixates its gaze forward as its cyan eyes glow intensely. Jisoo recoils from the imposing figure of Sungwoo, her expression filled with distress as she gestures him away. She tells him he gives her the creeps and asks him to look somewhere else. Jisoo stands over the small skeleton, Righty, who droops while holding its dagger as she questions if it can be upset, stating it's just a skeleton. Jisoo stares up at a glowing system window that flashes into existence, revealing he can now command the dead under his authority. A skull-like creature burns with cyan flames, its eyes glowing brightly. A system notification identifies the monster as Blaze and offers its detailed information. The message also states that the user has maxed out the number of minions they can command. Jisoo and Sungwoo stand in a wrecked classroom filled with overturned furniture as she asks him what is happening, but he looks around the chaos and admits he is also unsure. An older man and a group of people recoil in shock, their eyes wide with terror as they scream for help. Jisoo frantically tries her phone, telling Professor Sungwoo she cannot reach the police. Sungwoo attempts to calm her while Hanho watches them in shock. Jisoo's face is heavily shadowed, his expression distressed as a drop of sweat falls from his cheek while he thinks about the chaos happening all across the campus, and possibly even further. Jisoo stands in a dark room, his gaze lowered as bright red-orange laser beams form a crisscrossing grid in front of him. Sungwoo and the skull-faced figure cautiously pull the curtains aside, peering out the window at an intensely bright light flooding the urban environment. Jisoo unleashes a massive, fiery explosion that engulfs the entire cityscape across the country. Sungwoo and the others scream in terror, their faces showing extreme panic as a fiery orange glow engulfs them. Sungwoo stares in distress, his face illuminated by an intense orange glow as he wonders aloud if this event is happening worldwide. A metal rack lies overturned in a dark, messy room where a hand rests in a pool of blood on the floor. Jisoo bursts through a bright doorway into a trashed room, yelling that they cannot stay there. The school building stands under a burning orange and red sky as intense light and glowing particles fill the air. Hanho rushes through a doorway holding a car key, pulling a woman along behind him as he yells for them to get to the parking lot. Visual analysis failed, providing no content to narrate for this panel. Two goblin-like creatures with glowing yellow eyes and sharp fangs lunge forward from the darkness, with one raising a blood-stained dagger over a human's arm. Jisoo and Hanho run in terror with a panicked group as a hooded figure with a knife and a large monster aggressively pursue them from behind. Hanho and Sungwoo recoil in horror as a monstrous creature with glowing eyes and sharp fangs lunges directly towards them. Cloaked figures attack a large, multi-eyed creature from all sides. They stab the beast repeatedly in a chaotic close-quarters fight, driving their weapons into its body. Jisoo confronts three small, humanoid creatures wielding daggers in a hallway as two other figures flee in the background. Sungwoo looks over his shoulder with wide, frantic eyes, shouting for everyone to run and declaring he will hold them off. Righty points his large hand down the metallic corridor at the small, hooded figures engaged in combat. Hanho yells and charges forward alongside Jisoo, their speed knocking surprised figures out of the way. Jisoo reaches his hand out with a concerned expression, watching a figure disappear into room 404 and yelling for them not to scatter. Sungwoo stands indoors with a serious and worried expression, his hand raised in a subtle gesture. He analyzes the character sheet and dice on the table, realizing the game adheres to certain rules that he must follow. The chosen class and ability appear on glowing system cards, causing a spectral skeletal figure and two goblin-like monsters to manifest as huntable targets, one of them holding a dagger. Sungwoo concludes that fighting increases his chance of survival and clenches his fist with a resolute expression. Jisoo watches with a distressed expression as Sungwoo's small creatures clash with unseen opponents in a dark hallway. The green-skinned Hanho drives his fist into the skeleton's head, causing a bright impact. Righty violently blocks a strike from another monstrous figure, their clash occurring over the body of a fallen skeleton. An unseen force strikes the skeletal monster, its head erupting in a bright impact and a burst of red splatter. A monstrous figure with glowing yellow eyes and a sharp-toothed mouth lunges forward, swinging a sharp blade. Jisoo delivers a glowing, impactful strike to the large monster's head, sending blood and debris flying from the blow. Jisoo shatters the skull-like object under her foot, releasing a burst of turquoise light and red sparks. Sungwoo looks up with a shocked and distressed expression as a system message appears before him, announcing that his minion has returned to its eternal slumber. Jisoo's eye is wide with intense focus, sweat beading on her skin as a yellow aura surrounds her while she desperately pleads for victory. Jisoo and Hanho stand as skeletons in a dim corridor, confronting two small, snarling creatures. Jisoo grips a knife while they both pant heavily, bracing for the creature's attack. A goblin-like creature lunges with a dagger, its mouth open in a silent growl as a skeletal figure with glowing blue features raises its sword to defend. Two obscured figures exchange a flurry of blows in close combat, one delivering a powerful glowing strike that connects with their opponent. Jisoo stands with his fists clenched, an exhilarated expression on his face as holographic system messages appear around him, announcing he has received 10 gold for defeating a goblin. Sungwoo exhales in relief, looking down at his two small skeletons and commending their work. Sungwoo looks bewildered as a system notification appears above his head, announcing that he is leveled up to level 2. Jisoo smirks as a blue holographic window appears before him, announcing that he is leveled up. He stammers in disbelief and calls out for his status window. A player profile screen flashes, displaying Sungwoo's information as Sungwoo Yu, a level 2 necromancer. His stats are listed, showing 4250 HP, 1330 MP, and base stats of 5 for strength, speed, and stamina. Sungwoo touches his holographic status screen and reviews his stats, wondering why he has not received any attribution points for leveling up. Jisoo stands before a flashing holographic interface as blue energy emanates from his feet. The system screen instructs him to select a level-up card, showing 5 options: a random stat, a random skill, a random item, a random others card, and a guaranteed strength boost. Sungwoo is struck by a sudden rush of energy as he realizes the card he received was chosen at random. Sungwoo reaches his hand toward the glowing blue panels, knowing his result will be based on pure luck. Jisoo holds a glowing, translucent skill card that radiates a bright light displaying the words, Skill, Random. Jisoo is enveloped in turquoise energy, his expression startled as clawed figures emerge from the aura. A system message notifies him that the maximum number of minions he may command has increased by 1. 4 skeletal figures with glowing blue eyes and tattered cloaks stand over him as a system message alerts Righty that his mana is critically low, showing only 3 out of 30 points remaining. Sungwoo stares in surprise at a holographic display showing his mana count is critically low at 3 out of 30. 4 skeletal figures in tattered cloaks stand in the school hallway, wielding daggers and staring ahead with glowing blue eyes, as Righty guesses they don't need much mana. Sungwoo gestures awkwardly at the small, dejected, skull-faced figures at his feet, telling them they are creepy and asking them to look elsewhere. A window casts light across a dim interior staircase. Hanho crouches on the floor, surrounded by Righty and 3 other small, armed skeletons whose blue eyes glow in the sunlit room. Sungwoo kneels on the ground, exhausted but remaining alert and vigilant. He catches his breath, aware that a cloaked figure is partially visible standing behind him. Sungwoo stares sideways with a determined expression, his thoughts fixed only on survival. Righty stands on high alert inside a modern building, surrounded by multiple hooded skeletal figures with glowing blue eyes, one of which holds a sword. Hooded figures swarm civilians in the street, pulling them to the ground as they scream for help. The victims struggle against the attackers but are quickly overwhelmed in the chaos. An orange glow from nearby buildings illuminates the entire street. Jisoo looks through the window with a frustrated expression, realizing the situation outside is worse and decides he shouldn't rush downstairs yet. Sungwoo clenches his fist, his face covered in sweat as he looks intensely toward a bright opening. Righty stands at the top of a staircase, radiating a bright light as several skeletal figures with glowing blue eyes and ethereal wisps descend before him, and he commands them to lead the way. Righty, hooded and gripping a knife, rushes down a dark staircase while breathing heavily. Jisoo's boot rattles on the steps from above. Hanho stares in shock as a glowing, ethereal skeleton appears in Righty's place at the bottom of the staircase. Jisoo screams with his mouth wide open in agony, tears streaming down his face. Hanho, his face smeared with blood, drives his knife into the glowing skeletal figure's chest, causing an explosion of light and sparks. Sungwoo looks down with a horrified expression at a blue, glowing skull on the ground and calls out to Hanho. Hanho trembles, his eyes wide with terror as he holds a knife. Jisoo looks back at Sungwoo, dagger in hand, while he stands smiling confidently, surrounded by 3 small, skull-faced figures he calls his bodyguards. Jisoo stands on the stairs with his skeleton companions and asks Hanho if he also chose a class card, and Hanho, standing below, confirms that he chose the rogue class. Sungwoo grabs his head in frustration, shouting at the other man about the class he chose and demanding to know how many stars it has. Hanho points a finger upward with a wide, manic grin, laughing as he exclaims that his 1 star makes him the same level as a brigadier general. Sungwoo speaks dismissively to the character facing away from him, telling them to keep believing that, as his small skull creatures float in the air and observe the exchange. Righty and his group follow the armed skeletons down a dark, multi-level staircase. Jisoo looks up in surprise as a glowing blue system message appears, informing him that he has attained the effects of synergy through teamwork. A system window displays the synergy list, showing the first entry as Rogue's Dagger, Stage 1. This weapon synergy requires 5 equipped daggers, and its effects grant a 10% increased chance of a fatal blow and a 10% increase in gold received. Hanho stares at the glowing holographic interface and asks Sungwoo if he can also see it, to which Sungwoo confirms he can before questioning what the displayed synergy stat means. Jisoo observes 5 glowing, knife-wielding skeletons as a BUFX5 notification appears, deducing the buff triggers under specific conditions and considering the benefits of a party. A heavily pixelated skull with piercing turquoise eyes glitches onto the screen, signifying a revelation that the rules may apply to these entities as well as humans. Sungwoo touches his chin and smirks slightly as he looks to the side, considering his new ability. He concludes that he chose a good class, realizing he can enjoy the benefits of a party even while alone. A foot in a dark loafer steps onto a gray platform next to a vertical pole. 3 small, glowing-eyed skeletal figures armed with knives stand on a staircase, looking down at 3 obscured figures who snarl from the bottom. Jisoo holds her sword, confronted by a large hulking monster and several smaller, goblin-like creatures wielding daggers. A monstrous, helmeted figure stares forward, its yellow eyes glowing and its mouth bearing sharp fangs. Hanho panics and points at an unseen entity, stammering as he asks Sungwoo if that thing is their leader. A teal aura spreads from unseen skeletons, inflicting the group of goblins with the scent of death and weakening them, decreasing their stats by 30% as the effect requires 4 or more skeletons of the same species. A small, goblin-like creature stands in a pool of glowing liquid, its eyes wide with fear. It clutches a knife as larger, shadowy figures loom behind it. Jisoo smirks confidently as he observes several glowing skeletal figures moving dynamically around him, thinking to himself that he got lucky. A massive fist slams down, crushing the goblin-like creatures in a burst of red light and debris. Skeletal figures and goblin-like monsters engage in a brutal melee, swarming each other in close-quarters combat as a glowing weapon impales one of the creatures. Hanho raises his dagger with a manic grin, shouting excitedly while Sungwoo observes him with a calm smirk. A pair of intensely glowing yellow eyes opens within a monstrous shadowy face. Righty's yellow eyes glow as he bares his sharp teeth and raises his empowered right fist, which shines with a brilliant light. 2 fists collide, unleashing an explosive burst of red and orange energy. The Goblin Chief activates its Wild Berserker skill, causing the ground to rumble. Jisoo and Hanho stand in the foreground, preparing to fight the monster and its surrounding goblin horde. A hooded figure with a green hand holds a glowing dagger over a snarling, cat-like monster that has just buffed all the goblins under its command, causing an explosion of energy to erupt. Jisoo smashes a skeletal enemy with her glowing skeletal arm as multiple others swarm around her. Hanho asks Sungwoo if they should run, but a blade suddenly pierces him from behind, emerging through his chest. He stops talking as Sungwoo watches the attack in alarm. Jisoo stares with a determined yet anxious expression, a single drop of sweat on his temple as he resolves to stay calm and watch closely. Jisoo stands calmly, surrounded by glowing skeletons that move according to his will. He controls them completely as one skeleton raises a dagger, and he considers his next action. A monstrous figure with glowing yellow eyes raises an arm, unleashing a burst of orange energy as a magical symbol glows behind it. Jisoo's eye glows with blue energy as she simultaneously emits a burst of power from her hand. Hanho's skeletal warrior engages 2 monsters in close combat while Jisoo leaps into the air, bringing her glowing weapon down in a swift attack from above. Jisoo leaps downwards from above, wielding a staff that emits blue magical energy, while a small goblin creature looks up and another figure is trapped within an orange magic circle on the ground. Jisoo's glowing skeletal construct, its eyes bright turquoise, unleashes a slash attack that strikes the fiery, cracked surface. A hand makes impact, generating a burst of energy and a spray of red. A figure's fist slams into a man's upper body, causing blood to burst from the point of impact. Righty lunges forward, his weapon impacting against the opponent's massive leg. Jisoo, cloaked and with a glowing arm, delivers a powerful sword strike to the dark-horned monster, creating a brilliant impact. Jisoo delivers a devastating blow to a small goblin-like creature as another armed creature recoils from the impact. A glowing teal energy blast with sharp, tooth-like contours and sparkling particles erupts from a dark, indistinct form. Goblins lie defeated and injured across the ground, screeching and coughing. System notifications appear one after another, announcing gold received for each slain creature. Jisoo holds up her bloodied hand as a series of system messages appears, each one announcing she has received 10+1 gold for defeating a goblin. The monstrous hooded figure with glowing yellow eyes swings its large blade, smashing it against an armored arm holding a dagger. Righty, the cloaked skeletal figure, lunges forward with glowing blue eyes, raising a knife to attack while letting out a roar. Jisoo thrusts her blade deep into Righty's torso and immediately slashes upward, tearing him open. Jisoo struggles to hold her large spear, her armored body trembling under duress as she grunts in pain, her eyes glowing a bright yellow. Jisoo plants her boot on the defeated Goblin Chief as a system notification appears, granting her 55 gold for the victory. Hanho stares with wide eyes, his expression twisting into a manic grin as he lets out a laugh. Two figures step over a heavily bandaged body lying prone on the blood-stained floor, a single yellow eye-like feature visible through the wrappings. Jisoo, Sungwoo, and Hanho stand over the corpse of the defeated armored monster as glowing items emerge from it. Jisoo points to the loot and asks Sungwoo if they are items. Sungwoo confirms they are while Righty stands nearby. Sungwoo holds a large, sharp weapon in one hand, a beaded bracelet on his other wrist, and stares forward with an alert expression as he says the word, lift. A system window displays information for a green-bladed spear, identifying it as a common rank crude spear with no effects. An information window identifies a woven bracelet as the rare rank item Wild Spirit, which increases a small build ally's attack speed by 20%. The goblin skeleton's attack speed increases after activating a buff. They dash forward, swinging and slashing their weapons with accelerated motion. The skill, Wild Berserker, is a rank D buff that increases the attack of goblin mercenaries by 10% and their attack speed by 20% for 10 minutes, with a 1-hour cooldown period. Sungwoo, surrounded by a faint green glow, looks down thoughtfully at the large number of items he acquired and begins to shuffle through them. Righty, a small hooded skeleton with glowing blue eyes and sharp teeth, holds a dagger and confronts a robed figure. Sungwoo wears a smug expression and pats the other man on the shoulder. The hooded, skull-faced Righty opens its mouth wide, its jaw clacking as bright orange sparks fly out from the dark opening. Sungwoo holds his spear with a bloody wound on his chest as a companion with a knife covers their face in shock. Jisoo, holding a knife, asks Sungwoo where they go now. Sungwoo, also armed, tells her they must first escape their current location before thinking about it. Individuals move throughout a large, brightly lit hall. Two armed figures stand guard before a set of golden doors. Jisoo stands in a dark hallway lined with lockers, her expression concerned as she observes two figures in the distance, one of whom is holding a blade. Hanho points down the dark hallway toward room 1003, telling Sungwoo to enter the copy room to prevent people from panicking and attacking his forces. Jisoo extends her hand, which is adorned with a red bracelet, and tells the crowd to calm down. Sungwoo smiles smugly and gestures towards himself, revealing that he has been contacting the police and that the student council is also investigating the situation. A frantic woman points at the glowing double doors, shouting for someone to break them down while Hanho stands nearby holding his sword. Jisoo grimaces in frustration, lines swirling around her head as she raises a hand in a gesture of futility, stating that they have tried everything and cannot open the doors. An agitated woman confronts Hanho, shouting about his inability to break them down. Hanho confirms it is true and pleads with her to calm down and lower her voice while bystanders watch the tense exchange. Sungwoo holds his spear and Hanho grips his knife, and they walk forward with determination, passing an injured figure on the ground whose face is obscured. Jinseok, a man with green hair, stands with a smug expression. Frightened and injured students are scattered on the ground around him in a chaotic scene. Sungwoo walks down a hallway with Hanho, holding a large axe while two other figures stand in the background. Jisoo screams with a frantic expression, desperately warning everyone to stay away from the dangerous door. Sungwoo reaches for the handle of a brightly lit door with a bloody cleaver impaled in it while Hanho stares in terror from behind him. Jisoo turns her head to the side, sweat covering her distressed face as she exhales a deep, exhausted sigh. Jisoo's green hair glows as she grimaces and gestures, apologizing for being on edge because of everything on her mind. She states that despite her own confusion, she has to protect the students as Hanho watches her with concern from the background. Hanho looks to the side with an annoyed expression while Sungwoo watches with a wary face. Jisoo stands in a corridor with other armed students and approaches Sungwoo, asking if he also picked a card. Sungwoo confirms that he and Hanho both did, and he greets Jinseok. Sungwoo tells Jisoo he has been too busy for classes, and Jisoo listens from her seat while internally questioning the point of him even coming to school. Jisoo and Hanho stand armed in front of double doors as an unseen individual tells them they must help protect the other students, to which Hanho agrees. Hanho stares intently to the side, his brow furrowed as he asks, "Speaking of, what's your class?" Sungwoo grips his blood-splattered spear with a determined expression while an older man watches him with a smug grin, questioning how useful a spearman will be. Sungwoo smirks and holds up a large, dark shield, declaring that he defeated a goblin and picked a 2-star shield warrior card. Sungwoo gives Hanho a thumbs up, telling him to hide behind him if anything happens, while Hanho awkwardly holds his large scythe and agrees. Hanho dashes forward, shouting for Jinseok while reporting the faint sound of goblins near the stairs, as a distressed Jisoo looks on. Jisoo points toward a cafe sign with her glowing fingertips, telling everyone to be quiet and hide inside. Jisoo forcefully punches a transparent barrier into place at the cafe entrance as others watch from behind him. Sungwoo stands in the hallway holding a staff, pointing it toward Hanho as he calls out his name. Hanho turns to look over his shoulder with a startled expression. Jisoo and Hanho stand armed with their backs turned, facing a set of bright automatic doors as they prepare to enter. Hanho and Sungwoo stare off panel, their expressions a mix of shock and grave concern as Hanho asks if Sungwoo sees it too, to which Sungwoo confirms. A message appears before a magically sealed door, stating it can only be opened by defeating the building's boss monster. A timer counts down from 2001-11-19, warning that the monsters will grow stronger if the time limit is exceeded. Sunwoo attempts to force a heavy door open as a holographic message flashes across it, stating he must defeat a boss inside the building to unlock the door. The message includes a warning that the monsters will strengthen if he fails within the 2-hour time limit. He shoves the door again, but it won't budge. Hanho looks on in alarm at a glowing digital display, seeing what appears to be a reverse countdown. He panics, questioning if it's a timed event and fearing that everyone will die if they fail to succeed within the time limit. Jisoo, spear in hand, turns with Hanho to face a magically sealed door displaying a message and a countdown timer. The warning states they must defeat the boss monster within 2 hours and 11 minutes to open the door, otherwise the monsters inside will grow stronger. Jisoo declares that they must kill the boss themselves if they want to escape and cannot wait for a rescue. Sungwoo stares forward with an intense expression, a drop of sweat on his temple, and warns that those who are not on their guard will be the first to die. Hanho smirks and speaks to Sungwoo, who has his back turned. Righty stands passively next to Hanho holding a shield. He asks Sungwoo if he has met Minsu, stating he thinks they are in the same class. Hanho looks slightly annoyed as he confirms that they have met before. Sungwoo stares in disbelief as one man grabs another by the collar, a blue aura flaring around his body. Jisoo glares forward with a hostile expression, demanding to know if there's a problem. Hanho questions Jisoo about the message on the door, which she confirms seeing, and Sungwoo concludes that since they cannot leave, they must wait for a rescue team to arrive. Sungwoo shouts with a furious expression, extending his hand as he yells about the futility of waiting for a rescue team or the police, explaining that they won't receive attention because the crisis is happening all across the country. Sungwoo shouts with a furious expression, his hand extended forward as he makes his declaration about the nationwide crisis. Jisoo stands with his arms spread wide and yells, insisting the Korean army is powerful as images of tanks, fighter jets, warships, and soldiers appear around him. He screams that the military will come for them and they will all be saved. Sungwoo argues with wide, anxious eyes, insisting there's no proof that will happen and that the army cannot protect every single part of the country. An agitated man yells that it's too dangerous to wait. Sungwoo sighs deeply in response. The man immediately turns on him, demanding to know if he just sighed at him. Jisoo and Hanho stand over the defeated Sungwoo as Righty lies on the ground nearby. Hanho shouts that they don't need him, ordering Sungwoo to go sit quietly in the cafe if he wants to live. A man shouts in panic, reporting the arrival of goblins to Jinseok, who reacts with wide-eyed shock and disbelief. Jisoo and Hanho stand at the bottom of a staircase as 5 small, dagger-wielding creatures descend towards them with glowing eyes. Hanho points in alarm at a threat off-screen while Jisoo and Sungwoo react with shock. Sungwoo raises his shield and shouts for everyone with a weapon to gather and block the cafe entrance. Hanho screams a warning, pointing down the opposite end of the hallway to alert Jisoo. Jisoo turns his head to see more shadowy figures approaching from the other direction, trapping them in the corridor between the 2 advancing groups. 2 skeletal figures with glowing blue eyes step out from a dark hallway, both holding daggers. The cloaked figure on the right summons a large spectral skull that floats above it. Jisoo screams in terror, gripping his shield as an intense light erupts in front of him. A man holding a large scythe stands with his back turned, facing a group of small skeleton figures. Righty stares in complete shock, questioning the summons since the skeletons are not enemies. Jisoo stands with his back turned, a faint blue aura glowing around him as he holds a large scythe across his body and tells the others to calm down, warning that people die when an idiot with an inflated sense of self-importance takes charge. Sungwoo is enveloped in a glowing aura, his face twisted in shocked rage as he demands to know what the hell their class is. Jisoo smirks confidently in profile, his eyes glowing with an intense blue light as a powerful aura emanates from his body while he identifies a strong opponent. A monstrous face manifests and releases a wave of turquoise energy, engulfing the goblin figures as the skill Death Scent Stage 1 activates, decreasing their stats by 30%. The goblin-like creatures on the ship recoil and shriek as a massive teal energy burst envelops them. Jisoo stands cloaked amidst small, fearful monsters, as large, glowing teal spectral entities manifest in the air above her. Jisoo grins as his eyes glow with a cyan light, energy surging through his hair as he announces the hunt has begun. A crowd fills the noisy cafeteria, their attention drawn to the large windows as they all look towards an event happening outside. The man emits a blue glow, his gaze fixed downward as 3 onlookers watch him with concern. Jisoo stammers, speaking about the goblins. Jisoo shouts in horrified disbelief, his face contorted with anger as he demands to know what is happening. Jisoo, Hanho, Sungwoo, and Raidi are locked in a close-quarters melee, trading punches and dagger strikes with masked opponents. Raidi staggers from the impact, clutching his head in pain and disorientation. Jisoo unleashes an explosive burst of energy from her prone position, engulfing the hand reaching for her and snapping it violently backward. Jisoo grips the baseball bat with both hands, her face obscured by shadow as she holds it in a ready stance. A hooded skeletal figure strikes Raidi across the face with its bony hand. Sungwoo unleashes a glowing red energy strike, cutting into the large, yellow-eyed creature. Hanho cowers behind a man holding a shield, who glances back in fear and wonders how Sungwoo is slaughtering all the goblins with only his spear. A large green creature and a smaller one stand near a staircase in the dark, baring their sharp teeth as they screech and hesitate. Sungwoo lunges forward with a spear amidst blood splatters and a severed hand on the ground, shouting to block the stairs so they cannot escape. 2 skeletal figures with glowing blue eyes lunge forward, raising their weapons to attack 2 obscured individuals. Sungwoo clenches his fist and shouts with a fierce expression, ordering them to keep the enemies in place. Sungwoo's face is a mask of pained determination, sweat dripping down his cheek as a bright light radiates behind him. He resolves to prove he can control the undead skeletons and handle the entire situation himself. Sungwoo, Jisoo, Hanho, and Raidi stand armored and hooded in a fiery domain, facing a massive skull-faced entity made of flames while one of them manifests purple energy. Jisoo executes a powerful thrust, her masked eyes glowing blue as fiery energy erupts from the strike, triggering a system notification for the skill thrusts that announces its special synergy effect is in use, increasing the fatal blow chance and gold received when a dagger is equipped. A hand glows with yellow-orange magical energy as an item description for Wild Spirit appears, revealing it increases attack speed against goblin-type enemies by 20%. Jisoo stands over the defeated goblins littering the blood-stained staircase, contemplating the buff skill from her bracelet. She acknowledges the power makes goblins trivial, but understands it will not be enough for the stronger monsters she will face in the future. Jisoo, Hanho, Sungwoo, and Raidi stand armed and alert, nervously confirming among themselves that an unseen commander is ordering the skeletons. Hanho looks up with wide, worried eyes and holds his hands out while Sungwoo's yelling face is partially visible in the background. Hanho feels relieved but questions who the person is, thinking he might be a senior from their department. Jisoo moves between the skeletal creatures, striking one with her blade while hitting another with an energy blast from her free hand as a third skeleton screams below her. Jisoo lunges forward with a fierce expression, wielding a glowing turquoise energy blade. A glowing cyan energy projectile shoots forward, violently impaling a dark, clawed appendage and causing a burst of light and particles on impact. Sungwoo looks up in relief, a single bead of sweat rolling down his temple. Hanho and the others yell and cheer in celebration. The college students, including Hanho, look on with relief and admiration as one student praises the person's bravery, wondering if he is from their college and expressing gratitude that he is there. A severed, pale hand lies in a pool of blood next to a large, glowing yellow lens. Sungwoo walks down the blood-stained stairs, spear in hand, passing the corpses of skeletal monsters as he questions why they haven't dropped any items. A blue system notification appears, announcing the player has received a roulette ticket for killing 20 monsters. The message states the player is the 34th person to complete this achievement and their rank will be increased to infinite status, a status limited to 100 people. Sungwoo looks up at the glowing blue screen with a puzzled expression, wondering how he will receive a roulette ticket when he has no inventory. Hanho holds a spear and praises several small figures for their work as Jisoo stands nearby with a sword, observing them. Jisoo raises a hand and shouts as several glowing skeletal figures with clacking jaws manifest behind him, yelling that he told them not to do that. Jisoo strides down a hallway accompanied by Raidi, Hanho, and 4 skeletal minions, passing 3 startled individuals who panic and fumble to move aside. Sungwoo rests a large axe on his shoulder with a smug expression, asking Jinseok if he was helpful. Jisoo clenches his teeth, sweat dripping down his strained face. A store sign displays the name Skase, with the letter S stylized as a spoon. Jisoo, Hanho, Raidi, and the other students fall silent inside the cafeteria, turning their heads to look toward the open doorway where Sungwoo and 2 other figures have just entered. Jisoo explains that due to strange circumstances, the door can neither be opened nor broken down, causing Hanho to panic and ask what they can do while Sungwoo looks on with a distressed expression. Jisoo points at a large glass door sealed by a glowing purple magical lock which displays the mission information, stating they must defeat the boss monster inside the building to open it, and a timer on the lock counts down, indicating the monsters will grow stronger if they fail to defeat the boss in time. Hanho stands in the crowd, his expression showing both concern and contemplation as he thinks. Jisoo holds up 2 fingers with a focused expression, light emanating from his hand as he states they have only 2 hours to find and kill the boss. Jisoo warns her companions that stronger monsters will appear if they fail, while a glowing red skeletal arm materializes beside her leg. Sungwoo raises his hand in extreme fear, shouting that he has seen it, as Jisoo and Hanho look on with wide-eyed shock. A towering, shadowy monster with glowing red eyes holds an injured person in its grasp, surrounded by a fiery glow. Sungwoo looks upward with a determined expression, identifying the roof as his next destination as 2 spectral figures hover near him. Brightly lit glass doors are closed, marked by a purple notice and a lock icon, as an unseen voice asks if there is anyone else. Hanho and the other students shuffle back uneasily, their eyes fixed on Sungwoo and his glowing-eyed skeletons. Sungwoo looks on with concern, realizing he got his hopes up too much and that most people will be too scared to join him against the boss monster. The man stammers that he will also be staying here, but Sungwoo grabs his arm, telling him he is not staying and must come to buff his skeletons. Hanho frantically offers his dagger to Sungwoo, insisting he doesn't need it, but Sungwoo raises a hand to sternly reject the offer. Sungwoo and Hanho look up with surprise and concern at a man holding a sheathed sword above them, who states there is no guarantee it will be more effective for them to flock to one location together. Jisoo stands in profile with a katana on her back, her expression pensive as she considers how their actions might cause more chaos in the narrow corridors. Jisoo stares forward with a critical expression, her status window appearing beside her and identifying her as Jisoo Yoon, the Tiger Hunter. Hanho glares down at 2 cowering individuals on the ground, holding a sword as his eyes glow red. Sungwoo looks to the side with a bead of sweat on his temple, thinking their plan is rash because they do not know the boss's strength. Sungwoo confronts Jin Seok and yells at him, causing the man to jolt and flinch backward in terror. Hanho forces a wide, strained smile as sweat beads on his face, stammering that he needs to protect the students because it is his job, while the others observe him with uneasy expressions. Sungwoo sternly warns his companion to remain alert, and the man with the large shield looks anxious as he agrees. A voice states the group must now ascend the dark, multi-level stairway marked with the 7-6 symbol. Sungwoo, Raidi, and Hanho descend the dark staircase, surrounded by hostile skeletons with glowing blue eyes. Jisoo pulls the anxious Hanho forward, her expression determined as she shouts at him to not let his guard down. 2 goblins with glowing yellow eyes charge forward with bared teeth, one of them raising a dagger as they rush towards a figure gripping a metal bar. Jisoo, Raidi, and Hanho climb a dark staircase, only to find shadowy figures with glowing eyes waiting for them at the top landing. Hanho shouts in alarm, pointing out that the creatures are upstairs too. Sungwoo shouts with an intense expression, commanding 2 of his companions to guard the back. Jisoo lunges forward, unleashing a red energy slash at Hanho, who recoils in surprise, his dagger still in hand. A hand, glowing with red light, slashes forward with incredible speed. Jisoo, concealed by a hood, drives her glowing blade into a monstrous creature as a second monster reacts in distress. Jisoo's eye narrows with intense focus as she moves at high speed. Jisoo stabs the floating mechanical head, shattering it into pieces from the impact. The gray-skinned creature falls through the air, bleeding from a powerful impact to its back. Hanho exhales in tired relief while holding her katana. Hanho holds a knife, his eyes wide and mouth open in shock as a person with long hair observes him calmly from the foreground. Hanho points excitedly toward a female fighter, shouting up to Sungwoo on the staircase about her impressive skill. A bloody blade is violently pulled from a body, causing blood to splatter. Sungwoo stands victorious over the bloody skeletons, gripping his polearm, and notices one last skeletal enemy with glowing eyes watching him. Raidi, a skeleton with glowing blue eyes, writes something down before he stands over a smaller, prone skeleton wielding a bloody sword. Sungwoo smirks and speaks his mind while a figure stands in the background holding a staff. Sungwoo smirks confidently, his face illuminated by an ethereal glow as he declares the jokes are over and tells everyone to head up. A hand grips the surface and a foot plants itself, beginning the ascent. A man with a bloodied face sits injured on the ground in a pool of blood as 2 figures observe him in the dark space, one kneeling and the other standing with a chained hand. Professor Huang is slumped on the ground, bleeding from his mouth with a terrified expression as he asks in shock if he is seeing Sungwoo. Sungwoo stands terrified before the shadowy professor, demanding to know what happened to his students as a distressed Hanho watches from the background. Jisoo screams in anguish, his face covered in tears and sweat as he yells that their deaths are all his fault. An injured Jisoo leans in toward the slumped and distressed Hanho as he reports that he escaped to the labs with the students. Sungwoo addresses the crowd in the control room, choking on his words as he explains they went up to the roof, and then points toward a door with an unsettling smile. The blue emergency evacuation manual for faculty members glows, containing the recommendations that were followed. Sungwoo's eyes widen in horror, his teeth clenched as sweat drips from his temple. A colossal, shadowy monster looms over Hanho, Sungwoo, and Righty on the rooftop as one desperately clings to a doorframe and another collapses to the ground in sheer panic. Jisoo and a group of people stand among small skeletal creatures in a confined, dimly lit space, their attention fixed upwards as a body lies motionless on the ground. Jisoo bleeds from his mouth with tears in his eyes, coughing as he desperately warns Sungwoo that he must not go to the roof. Jisoo holds a distressed Sungwoo, her body trembling as she tells him she doesn't want him to die too. Righty slumps forward and collapses from his injuries as his allies and skeletal soldiers gather around his fallen body with their swords drawn. A hand tightens its grip around a long, cylindrical object. Jisoo is engulfed in a bright flash of light that erupts from her front, completely obscuring her face. A system window appears, displaying an exclusive quest titled For the Grudge of the Dead, offering the choice to either ignore or save the dead. The objective is to defeat the boss monster inside the building for an exclusive skill. The system explains that he can appease the grudge of the dead man by defeating his enemy or dismiss it as the death of a weakling. The quest states this choice must be completed within the boss monster's time limit and will affect his destiny. Jisoo stares at a glowing blue holographic screen displaying critical system messages about a choice that will affect his destiny and a boss monster time limit. He questions if this is a turning point for him as a dark, armored figure stands partially visible to his left. Sungwoo's face contorts in anguish and frustration as a tear runs down his cheek while he screams, questioning why they have to go through this. Jisoo looks back with a worried expression, asking Sungwoo if it is really alright for them to go up the dark staircase he is ascending. Two hooded skeletal figures with glowing blue eyes stand in a confined space, holding knives at the ready. Jisoo's eye glows with a fierce reddish-orange light, her gaze locked in intense focus. Jisoo leads his party into the boss room, followed by a fierce Sungwoo and the small skeleton Righty. They enter a chamber filled with skeletal enemies whose eyes begin to glow as they notice the intruders. An intense orange and red fire engulfs the landscape, surrounding the large, dark, geometric structures within the blaze. Jisoo lies incapacitated on the destroyed, burning rooftop beside another fallen figure as small goblin-like creatures swarm and close in on them. Jisoo lies defeated amidst burning rubble, seemingly unconscious. Righty, a goblin with glowing yellow eyes, looms over his body. Other similar figures stand beside Righty, and they all cackle menacingly at Jisoo's fallen form. Sungwoo grits his teeth in frustration, sweat running down his face as he strains and lets out a curse. Hanho points forward with a trembling hand, his face twisted in horrified disbelief against the fiery chaos. A creature with glowing yellow eyes grabs an unconscious boy by the collar as Jisoo identifies him as a classmate. Jisoo is surrounded by a fiery red and orange aura as she clutches her sword tightly, glaring intensely forward while cursing the monsters. Jisoo raises her glowing fist, her eyes wide and frantic as she questions why they have to suffer. The explanation is simple: they are weak. Sungwoo gestures forward, leading Jisoo, Hanho, and Righty through the fiery chaos as he declares they must become stronger. A giant foot descends onto the fiery landscape, causing a small goblin-like creature to recoil. Two goblin-like creatures screech as they attack an unseen target. One lunges with a sword as the other hurls a flaming projectile. Jisoo lunges forward, her armored form shattering rock as her masked eyes glow yellow. A colossal, shadowy figure looms over Jisoo and his companions, brandishing a sharp dagger as it cackles against a blazing orange backdrop. Hanho looks panicked and hesitates before suggesting to Sungwoo that they should run away, but Sungwoo just stares forward with a stern expression. Righty and his two skeletal companions stand their ground, their blue eyes glowing as a bright light radiates from behind them. Jisoo raises his left fist, a red beaded bracelet on his wrist glowing with energy as he shouts, "Raisoned." Jisoo activates her skill, Flare, clenching her fist as red and yellow magical energy emits from within a glowing magical circle. Jisoo activates her Wild Berserker skill, increasing her attack power and speed against goblins for 10 minutes. She then unleashes her Blaze ability, sending a massive wave of fire from her sword that engulfs the surrounding horned goblin enemies. Monstrous figures with glowing eyes and sharp teeth lunge forward, raising their weapons to attack. A figure slams into another, creating a blinding flash of light upon impact as shockwaves radiate from the strike. A sword drives past the armored figure's gauntleted hand and strikes their chest, creating a bright burst of energy on impact. Streaks of red, green, and yellow energy rush forward, culminating in a bright white flash. Violent slashes tear through the shadowy humanoid figure with glowing eyes, cutting it apart inside a fiery inferno as a knife flies past. Jisoo slashes and stabs an opponent's bloody hand with a fiery attack, her eyes glowing yellow behind her mask. Sungwoo shouts a ruthless command to treat the others as a shield, gripping his sheathed weapon as a serious Jisoo observes from behind him. Jisoo is slammed backward by an unseen force, a burst of red and orange energy erupting from the impact and sending his dagger flying from his grasp. Jisoo slashes forward, his eyes glowing red as red and yellow energy engulfs his entire body. Hanho stands surrounded by two larger figures amidst an orange glow, clutching a knife with wide, panicked eyes as he internally screams in regret over his chosen class. Hanho holds a knife with a distressed expression as blood trickles from his nose, his eyes fixed on a glowing card depicting a hooded figure. He screams that he thought the card would be good, but it's useless. An armored hand grips a small circular object, bathed in an intense red glow. Hanho yells and throws a spinning bladed ring, his bandaged arm bleeding as he clutches a dagger in his other hand. The small, goblin-like creature stabs the larger humanoid figure in the back with a sword, causing an intense flash of light from the wound. Hanho stares in disbelief, his eyes wide as sweat drips down his face. Two small, cloaked figures with glowing eyes stand over a fallen body as dark, shadowy energy seeps from the corpse, spreading across the weapon-strewn floor. Hanho sweats, his eyes glowing as he stares down at a smaller figure demonstrating a skill with a glowing stick. The surrounding onlookers watch in awe as Hanho remembers he was once good at this same technique. Sungwoo delivers a powerful punch with a fierce expression, sending a hooded opponent flying backward from the explosive impact. Righty shrieks in terror with wide, glowing eyes as a pale, monstrous hand bursts forth from a violent eruption of blood. Jisoo's hand glows with a golden-green energy emanating from his red wristband. Hanho clenches his fist and looks forward with intense focus, realizing he has discovered his true talent. Three small, gray-skinned creatures spin around in alarm, their yellow eyes wide as a fiery orange light erupts around them, one of them clutching a dagger. A skeletal figure plays a glowing guitar, unleashing a wave of turquoise energy and summoning spectral apparitions, which weakens the group of goblins and decreases their stats by 30%. Glowing spectral skulls float above the goblin-like creatures, who look up and shriek while clutching their daggers. An explosion of fire and light erupts, scattering debris in all directions. Three yellow-eyed, goblin-like creatures shriek and charge forward, two of them brandishing knives. The hulking, beast-like warrior stands amidst fiery destruction, clutching a large club. He has leonine features and glowing eyes, and he lets out a roar. Jisoo stands over three cowering creatures as they whimper on the debris-strewn floor, their swords discarded beside them. Sungwoo and Hanho stand defensively with the skeleton as flames burn around them. Hanho looks ahead, identifying the enemy as the boss and cursing at the realization. Jisoo, Hanho, and Sungwoo stand together with their weapons drawn as the boss monster, a towering goblin captain, appears before them in the fiery chamber. A horde of goblin-like creatures appears, their yellow eyes glowing and sharp teeth bared, while a larger one in the foreground roars. Sungwoo strains and clenches his jaw, gripping a small shard as shimmering particles swirl around his body. Jisoo fiercely blocks the charging, glowing-eyed creature with his green staff, holding his ground against the monster's powerful assault. Jisoo's face contorts in absolute fury, sweat beading on his temple as he screams the command to kill them all. Jisoo stands at the center of a chaotic melee, surrounded by fiery energy as sharp weapons clash around her. The masked, armored figure stabs the green, plant-like opponent with a knife as a bright aura explodes from the point of impact. A fiery impact explodes at close range, forcing back an arm and scattering droplets of blood into the air. Jisoo takes on a monstrous form with glowing yellow eyes and spiky green hair, snarling down at Righty, who cowers frightened at her feet. Sungwoo screams with wide, desperate eyes as an intense red and yellow aura erupts from his body, and he yells for everyone to get back. Jisoo glows with intense power as she unleashes a fiery blast, causing an explosion that engulfs a skeletal limb. Jisoo stands with her sword as blue spectral figures materialize around her, a system message repeating that she can command the dead under her authority. Righty lunges forward with glowing blue eyes, brandishing a dagger as he rushes a large, shadowy opponent. A skeletal figure in a dark cloak swings its sword, striking the fiery monster and creating a bright, explosive impact. Jisoo grimaces as a powerful force slams into him, throwing him backward. Jisoo stands on a fiery battlefield surrounded by corpses, wielding his staff against a massive armored foe. He realizes he has used too much mana and is about to hit his limit, his reserves critically low. A burst of yellow and red energy explodes from a central point. Two swords stab into the roaring monster, its yellow eyes glowing. Manhwa stands with his sword amidst the orange-lit debris, a smug grin on his face as he poses dynamically. He questions his unseen opponent, surprised they blocked his attack. A monstrous figure with glowing yellow eyes violently swings its large sword, scattering a volley of smaller weapons into the air. Sungwoo looks up startled with his knife out as a massive, furious figure glares down, its rage focused entirely on him. Manhwa frantically swings his knife at a snarling creature with glowing red and yellow eyes, screaming for help. Three skeletal soldiers charge forward through the flames, one lunging ahead with a dagger poised to strike. Manhwa holds his sword, his face showing grateful surprise as he stammers out his thanks to his allies. The glowing figure slams its fiery claws downwards, shattering the ground on impact. Jisoo leaps aggressively toward a massive, shadowy opponent as fire and chaos rage in the background, while another figure watches the confrontation from a distance. A bandaged fist delivers a fiery punch, creating a bright impact that engulfs a body in reddish-orange energy. Jisoo slams her glowing leg into Righty, sending him flying backward into a wall from the force of the kick. Righty is engulfed in a powerful burst of orange and red fiery energy. Jisoo lunges forward aggressively, a monstrous figure with wild yellow hair and glowing red eyes. Jisoo executes a luminous slash, the impact creating a bright flash against another figure as the background crumples. Jisoo grunts in pain as liquid spurts from her body from the force of an impact. Jisoo stands over the defeated entity, holding her large knife and declaring she planned to cut it down with a single swing. Jisoo faces forward with a confident, menacing smirk as her eyes glow with a vibrant red and orange light. Sungwoo sweats with a tense expression, analyzing his opponent's skilled blade work and strategic movements as he concludes, she is no ordinary student. Sungwoo stands confidently while manifesting several glowing blue skeletal figures and a larger phantom, declaring his need to become more strategic. Jisoo, Manhwa, Sungwoo, and Righty encircle the large, yellow-haired man in the debris-strewn area, holding their weapons ready as he growls at them defiantly. A skeletal monster attacks Jisoo from behind, but she immediately pivots and unleashes a powerful slash to counter the ambush. Sungwoo lunges forward with a fierce and strained expression, shouting "Now!" as he extends his arm, enveloped in intense energy. Righty throws a powerful punch, impacting his unseen opponent. A burst of green and yellow energy explodes outwards. Jisoo roars, her body twisting into a monstrous form with glowing yellow eyes and spiky hair as she clenches her fist in fury next to a materializing glowing skull. Jisoo growls and unleashes a fiery attack, her energy exploding outward from her body. Sungwoo looks distressed, holding his last glowing blue skull minion as a system message declares he has insufficient mana. His mana sits at a critical 3 out of 30, and he curses in frustration with only one summon left. A beast-like creature with glowing yellow eyes snarls, baring its sharp fangs as it extends a hand against a fiery, blood-splattered background. Righty's hand initiates the transformation of the skull creature, which grows into a formidable, armed entity as Jisoo rides on its back, surrounded by fiery energy. Jisoo grins menacingly, her face twisting to reveal fangs and glowing eyes as a fiery aura erupts around her. Jisoo scowls and clenches her teeth, questioning if Sungwoo thinks he has won just by counting the remaining skeletons. Sungwoo unleashes a powerful attack, his eyes glowing as the explosive force shatters 2 large objects. Jisoo is blasted backward by an explosion, her body thrown through the air with flying debris. Jisoo growls and swings, her yellow eyes glowing as a fierce red and orange aura flares around her body. Sungwoo has a desperate and determined expression against a chaotic, fiery background, thinking that at this rate, everyone will be dead and he needs to land just one hit. Sungwoo brings a glowing sword down through the fire and debris, focusing on landing a single perfect hit to take his opponent down. Explosions tear through the area, sending large chunks of debris flying through the bright, light-filled background. Sungwoo roars and lunges forward as a wolf-like creature with glowing eyes. Jisoo generates an intense fiery aura behind him. Righty strikes upward from below, aiming a dagger at Sungwoo's body. Jisoo lets out a deep, weary sigh, her face almost completely obscured by shadow. 2 separate hands tighten their grip on their sword hilts as energy radiates outward from the weapons. Sungwoo stands focused amidst the debris, grits his sword, and utters the command, "Raise." Righty and a second hooded skeleton charge forward with glowing blue eyes, each figure brandishing a dagger. Jisoo dashes and leaps into combat, swinging her club as she is surrounded by the armored Manhwa and Sungwoo. Jisoo, transformed with glowing red eyes and yellow hair, delivers an explosive blow to an unseen opponent. Righty is violently thrown backward by an unseen force, his armored body flying through a vibrant explosion of energy. Jisoo throws a punch as a glowing sword rapidly slashes through the air. Righty's skeletal hand, emanating a faint blue glow, firmly grips the hilt of the sword. Righty, a hooded skeletal figure with glowing blue eyes, descends from above and raises his katana for a strike. The muscular man on the ground braces for the impact, a burst of golden energy erupting around him. An armored fist collides with a glowing energy weapon, creating a powerful explosion of light. Jisoo delivers a powerful, glowing strike that generates a bright explosion of impact. Jisoo reacts with a surprised expression as a system message flashes, announcing the activation of a synergy effect due to their teamwork. A system window appears, displaying the warrior synergy details. The effect activates when 3 swords are equipped, increasing attack speed by 10% and decreasing weapon weight by 50%. Jisoo and Sungwoo wield their glowing swords, their movements accelerating. Righty lunges forward as a skeletal warrior in a hooded cloak, wielding a sword in his single arm while a fiery aura envelops him. He reveals his personal synergy, the one-armed warrior, which increases the chance that his first attack will cause a bleeding effect by 88%. A monstrous fanged maw snaps shut, glowing with blue energy at the point of impact. Sungwoo grips his sword with a determined expression, declaring that with his synergy effect and weapon, he can win, while a monstrous figure growls and hesitates. Jisoo thrusts her hand forward, reaching out to grab the glowing energy. Jisoo dashes forward with her sword and kicks a heavy desk, sending it flying towards the large monster. Jisoo leaps with her sword, her eyes glowing red, while Righty dashes forward, his skeletal form emanating a blue aura. The multi-headed golden beast lunges forward, its yellow eyes glowing as it bares sharp teeth within a fiery orange aura. Jisoo unleashes a wave of green energy, striking another character and sending them flying back from the impact. Jisoo swings her glowing sword, unleashing a fiery explosion that engulfs her opponent and the surrounding debris. Righty, the hooded skeletal figure, slashes his luminous blade forward, causing a burst of green energy as it impacts his unseen target. A dark figure stands in the center of an explosive impact, its yellow eyes glowing from within the blast. Jisoo swings her sword downward, striking the roaring, fiery demon and creating a massive explosion of reddish-orange energy at the point of impact. A yellow and orange streak moves at incredible speed. The monster with glowing yellow eyes recoils from a radiant weapon's impact as Hanho yells, "Nice shot," from a rocky perch. Jisoo strains with immense effort, her eyes glowing as she grips the hilt of her weapon. Jisoo activates her skill, Flash, and her eye glows with a bright green-blue light. An enemy shouts that it is time to sacrifice yourself and fires a glowing blue energy projectile, which strikes a figure in the chest, unleashing bursts of white energy and electric arcs. Righty lunges forward with wrapped fists and glowing eyes as the hooded, skull-faced Jisoo watches from the background while holding a glowing weapon. Righty says goodbye to Jisoo, thanking her for everything she has done for him. Jisoo, a fierce figure in golden armor with glowing eyes and sharp teeth, swings a dark, energy-filled blade as small panels show a hooded figure's past actions, and she states that he must now die for their victory and return to nothing. Sungwoo dashes forward, screaming as he lunges with his sword. Jisoo, a hooded figure with a skeletal face and glowing blue eyes, lunges forward and strikes with an energy-infused weapon. Sungwoo freezes, his eyes widening and mouth hanging open in shock as a blade appears directly in front of him. Jisoo unleashes a blast of green energy, his yellow eyes glowing intensely. The hooded, skeletal figure delivers a powerful downward strike, impacting the surprised beast-like humanoid as bright energy bursts from the point of contact. Jisoo stares at a blue notification window, her eye wide with shock as she reads that the chance for her first attack to cause a bleeding effect has increased by 88%. Sungwoo stands with his back turned while Jisoo and Hanho remain ready for battle. A system notification appears, stating they have received 255 gold for defeating the Goblin Captain. A system notification announces Sungwoo has reached level 3 as a terrified Hanho stammers, asking what the skeleton was before it died. Sungwoo remains calm. The hooded skeletal figure shatters, glowing with green energy as it grins and reveals a more monstrous appearance. Righty emerges from the fiery energy, his form upgraded with glowing green eyes and a staff. He has absorbed the Goblin Captain's mana, evolving his class, which significantly increases his defense and adds commander qualities for team synergy. Hanho points intensely at a dark entity with a startled expression. Sungwoo peeks from behind him, his face showing concern. Righty stands within a bright explosion, his form now skeletal with glowing blue eyes and a new blue tattoo on his forehead. A system window displays the minion list, which shows an elite goblin skeleton at level 2 as the first of 4 minions. The skeleton's weapon is a katana, its species is goblin, and its attributes are undead and commander stage 1. 2 commanders with skull faces lead separate armies of small minions. He considers the concept of organization synergy based on a commander's qualities, comparing the structure to military squads, platoons, and companies, and concludes that he needs to get more minions. Hanho and Jisoo stand in a cluttered room, their blue holographic status screens glowing in the dim light. Hanho announces that he leveled up, and Jisoo confirms she also reached level 3. Jisoo holds a glowing blue interface and announces to Flash that she has also just leveled up, asking him about his own status. Sungwoo stands surrounded by glowing holographic reward cards and explains the system mechanics to Jisoo, who listens intently to his explanation about choice and luck. Hanho confirms that Jisoo can also see the glowing holographic cards floating in the disheveled room and tells her she must pick one of the 5 options. Jisoo points to the skill random card on her level up screen, recalling how she chose a skill at level 2 to increase her maximum minion count. Sungwoo looks down at his hand as it glows with blue energy, and a system notification appears informing him he has acquired the skill Create Weapons from Bones Basic, causing him to react with a confused expression. A system window displays the details for the Create Bone Weapons skill, a basic rank active ability costing 10 mana. The skill allows the creation of swords, clubs, spears, and bows from corpse bones, with the final weapon's quality dependent on the material and skill level. Sungwoo looks at the glowing blue system window with a surprised expression, realizing he can now create weapons from bones. The screen informs him that the weapon's quality depends on the material's level. Sungwoo stands surprised in the damaged room as a system notification flashes before him, announcing the completion of the exclusive quest for the Grudge of the Dead through the Appease path. The message states he will receive an exclusive skill as a reward and that his destiny has been slightly altered. Jisoo's eye glows intensely as a monstrous, pained figure manifests in the shadows behind her while she thinks of Professor Kim. Hanho stands amidst red and teal energy as a large glowing creature appears beside him, and a system notification informs him that the maximum number of minions he may command has increased by 1, making him realize he can now summon a total of 5. Sungwoo looks to his right with a serious expression, wondering what it means that his destiny has been altered and deciding he needs to be more careful with his future choices. Jisoo looks up as a glowing dark cloak hovers above him amidst an intense burst of light. Jisoo holds up a dark hood, which is illuminated by a brilliant light, and she recognizes it as a robe's hood. Hanho points at the hood and asks about its effect, then explains that it increases his chance of hiding from monsters by 50%. Hanho grips his dagger with a resolute expression, declaring he has finished running from monsters because he also knows how to fight. Hanho holds out a glowing red stone towards Jisoo. Jisoo looks at the item in surprise while holding her knife, and Hanho identifies it as a fire whetstone. Hanho stares wide-eyed at a glowing red rectangle held before him, mentally questioning if it is flammable or can be used like flint before concluding it cannot. Jisoo explains that sharpening her blade with the white object gives it a chance to catch fire during an attack, as a spectral tiger warrior with a flaming sword demonstrates the effect. Hanho thinks the ability is cool. Sungwoo points, directing 2 smaller cloaked figures to leave the area, and says they can test everything later but need to get out of there. Hanho and 3 companions stand together in a sunlit hall near a cafe entrance, with 2 of them armed with unique weapons. Hanho hesitantly calls out to Jinseok, who holds a sharp object and turns back with an annoyed expression. Jisoo asks with a worried expression if it is really okay for them to stay, while Hanho and Sungwoo watch from the background. Jisoo's eyes widen with rage, her brows furrowed as she grits her teeth. Hanho looks distressed as the surrounding crowd murmurs, questioning if they should fight the boss and regretting their decision not to listen to Sungwoo. Jisoo throws a forceful punch forward, creating a bright flash of light on impact. Sungwoo grabs someone off-panel, shouting furiously that this is his reward for protecting everyone while calling them ungrateful bastards and telling them to stop talking nonsense. Sungwoo strides forward while Jisoo and Hanho look up at him from the background. Sungwoo raises his glowing shield and shouts aggressively while Righty watches from the side with a surprised expression. Jisoo screams in a furious outburst, pointing aggressively toward an exit and yelling that he will no longer sacrifice himself to protect anyone, ordering them all to get out. Hanho screams at the surrounding people, demanding to know what they are talking about. He shouts that anyone with a complaint can either leave or go to the roof and die a pitiful death like Sungwoo. Jisoo and the other survivors confront Sungwoo, shouting that he has done nothing to protect them. Sungwoo holds his shield and yells that he is the one protecting everyone, but the group screams back that the only person protecting them is the man who went to the rooftop. Jisoo's face glows with red and orange energy as she loses her struggle for control, screaming in rage and cursing her long-held effort to suppress her temper. Jisoo recoils in anger and demands to know what Sungwoo just called him. Sungwoo points aggressively and yells back that he called him a piece of shit, daring him to do something about it while Hanho watches in complete shock. Sungwoo screams furiously with his sharp teeth bared, pointing a finger as he yells that Sungwoo went to the roof like a moron and died. Jisoo's face contorts in rage, his eyes glowing intensely as a red, fiery aura erupts around him while he screams that his opponent was cocky and got what he deserved. Jisoo, Hanho, and Righty look up with alarmed and concerned expressions. Hanho holds his sheathed sword and screams, questioning why the person is so quiet and demanding to know who they said died. Jisoo glares forward with a strained expression, her eyes glowing a stark white as a teal light illuminates the right side of her face, leaving the left in shadow. Righty recoils in terror as multiple skeletal figures with glowing eyes advance on him, one of them holding a sword. Jisoo looks back angrily at Sungwoo, who is collapsed and injured on the ground next to a glowing blade, and yells, asking if they wanted him to die while two others watch the confrontation. A large glass door is sealed by a glowing purple magical lock and chain, projecting a holographic message. The message explains the door is locked by a strong magical force and can only be opened by defeating the building's boss monster. A countdown timer shows less than 50 minutes remain, warning that all monsters inside will grow stronger if the time limit expires. Jisoo reaches her hand toward the handles of a locked double-door locker that has a futuristic display panel above it. A powerful monster's magical seal on the door erupts in a brilliant explosion of light and energy. Sungwoo recoils in utter shock, his face contorted in distress as he clutches his shield. Sungwoo radiates golden energy as he turns to confront an angry Jisoo and a smirking Hanho, who tells someone named Jinseok he looks pathetic. Jisoo watches in distress as armed men and skeletons surround Jinseok and the robed Righty in a sunlit lobby, with Hanho standing nearby. Sungwoo stands over a distressed Jinseok who is hunched over. Sungwoo asks Jinseok if he has something to say. Jinseok cringes and touches the back of his head, his expression awkward and hesitant. The crowd points and whispers about Jinseok, who stands alone looking visibly distressed by their judgment. Righty's group emerges from a brightly lit doorway, stepping into a dark chamber where small skeletons are fighting on a blood-covered floor. Sungwoo, Jisoo, and Hanho stand cautiously in an illuminated area, holding their swords at the ready as they scan the quiet surroundings. Jisoo holds a curved dagger and instructs Hanho and Sungwoo to exit quietly through the bright doorway. Jisoo and Jinseok stand armed in the plaza, surrounded by fallen bodies and bloodstains. Jisoo, Hanho, and Sungwoo lie injured and unconscious on the ground amidst splatters of blood. Jisoo, Jinseok, and Righty walk through a blood-stained street littered with numerous dead bodies. Jisoo looks around in a panic at the carnage. Sungwoo looks to the side with a serious expression, considering where the goblin groups could be hiding on the grounds. Hanho points forward, his fangs visible as he tells Sungwoo there are people ahead. Jisoo walks down the illuminated corridor with her sword drawn, moving toward a group of brightly glowing figures. Hanho raises his dagger triumphantly, a determined look on his face as the other characters watch him with mixed expressions. Sungwoo stands holding a bloody sword and broken chains. Hanho watches him with a concerned expression. Sungwoo issues the command RAAs as a figure behind him begins to glow intensely. Jinseok stands confidently in the center with a sword on his back, flanked by two stern and muscular men. A man shoves a woman away, and she recoils from the forceful impact. The third man, Daseong, watches in shock as an explosion lights up the background. A man with light-styled hair smirks, a sheathed weapon visible over his shoulder. He calls out to Jinseok, asking if he is still alive. Jisoo confronts a blonde individual from behind with a confident smirk, shouting that he knew Daesung would survive and that it is his lucky day for running into him. A man watches intently as Jisoo, the student council president, appears before a glowing background. Hanho stands with a sword on his back while another person leans in, covering their mouth to whisper to him as two muscular men watch from the background. Jisoo tells Sungwoo that she thinks someone is talking about him, and Hanho agrees with her. Sungwoo looks to the side, his expression shifting as he processes their words. A gray-haired man with a sword on his back emanates a powerful aura, flanked by several other figures as he introduces himself as Daesung Park, the student council president. A smiling woman and a sinister-looking man lead their group forward, offering Hanho and the others safety if they join them. Jisoo stands with a stern expression, his weapon drawn as he confronts the hooded figures in a brilliant light and asks what the monsters are. Sungwoo stares at the other man with shock and anger, demanding to know why he would choose monsters that kill people. Jisoo's eye glows intensely with a fiery orange and yellow aura as she thinks about him, making her look like a danger to others. The armed speaker from the group tells Righty he must destroy all the small, glowing-eyed skeleton monsters shuffling nearby in order to join them. Sungwoo's face tightens with anger and resolve as he asks what will happen if he refuses. A man in a white cape stands with his back turned, gesturing towards Jisoo, Hanho, and the two glowing skull creatures with them. He asks if it is acceptable to let strange, creepy monsters join their group. Hanho furiously shouts, "What did you say?" after his two skeletal summons are called creepy, while Righty and the other skeletons stand behind him with glowing blue eyes. Hanho and Sungwoo walk together at night as two glowing, skull-like entities follow them. Hanho looks distressed while arguing the creatures are cute, but an annoyed Sungwoo tells him to be quiet. Sungwoo firmly holds his short sword with a defiant expression, refusing the request and stating it is the same as asking him to disarm himself. Jisoo smirks subtly, the hilt of his sheathed weapon visible over his shoulder. Jinseok holds a small, pointed weapon with a smug expression, several figures standing behind him as he confidently states they will provide protection. Hanho grins sinisterly, his intense eyes glowing as a bright yellow aura envelops him. He offers a final chance, ordering them to destroy the monsters if they want to join his party. A foot in a sneaker stomps forcefully onto a glowing orange-red surface. The person shouts, "Seriously? Who died and made you king?" Jisoo stands aggressively with her sword drawn, shielding a startled Sungwoo who is behind her. She confronts the skull-faced Righty, yelling that they never said they wanted to join his group and calling the student council pathetic. Jinseok, a stern-faced man with silver hair, holds a long dark staff over his shoulder and stares intently forward, asking if he is facing the student rep of the Social Physical Education Department. A man smirks sinisterly while looking at multiple bloodied bodies lying dead in an alleyway, stating that the entire college has been wiped out. Jisoo extends his glowing hand, delivering a stern warning to come with him or face the consequences. Jisoo yells, calling the person a hypocrite as she accuses them of embezzling student membership fees during the festival by fabricating an event staging company and its receipts. Jinseok stares at the screen, his eyes widening in shock as he reads an anonymous post on the university website exposing the student council's corruption. Jisoo forces a wide, strained grin as sweat beads on his face, trembling uncontrollably while telling the others to leave. An aggressive older man shouts from the background, warning that they will regret not joining his group for the synergy effect. He calls Sungwoo, Jisoo, and Hanho morons, telling them they will die alone. The three of them stare back at him with intense expressions. Jisoo slumps over a bench under a gazebo, gravely injured and bleeding, while another figure lies prone and wounded on the ground. Sungwoo questions the armed woman about what happened with the president, and she bluntly calls him a complete asshole as Hanho watches with concern. Jisoo speaks intensely, calling Hanho a rich brat who uses school to prey on girls. Behind her, monochromatic images show a smirking Hanho alongside several distressed female students. She reveals he took advantage of her juniors, insisting his student council president role is a facade for his true nature. Sungwoo stands with Hanho. The large campus building's windows are lit against the red sky as a voice states their first goal is to escape the campus. Jisoo explains her theory that they must avoid places with lots of people to escape, concluding that the monsters appeared specifically to hunt humans. Sungwoo raises a hand to his face, covering his mouth as his intense, light-colored eyes stare forward. Sungwoo stands beside Righty against the city skyline, gesturing as he speaks. He suggests they avoid the buildings and instead take the footpath by the hill, explaining that it leads to the main gate and is usually deserted. A wooden staircase follows the deserted footpath up a hill, the path winding through trees illuminated by the setting sun. Jisoo, Hanho, and Jinseok descend a wooden path, armed and surrounded by smaller masked figures who are also holding weapons. Hanho looks up, his eyes wide with concern as he grows uneasy from the sudden, complete silence. Hanho turns back with an alarmed expression as Sungwoo, a red rope binding his wrist, raises a fist and shouts. Hanho stands on the stairs with an alarmed expression and asks what is wrong, while Sungwoo raises a finger to his lips to silence him. Jisoo and Jinseok stand at the bottom of a wide wooden staircase, looking up toward a brightly glowing reddish object at the top. A blood-stained axe is lodged deep within a torso, a bandaged arm visible nearby. A bandaged hand grips a large weapon covered in blood as it drips from the blade. A red, boar-like monster stands over a bloodied figure lying on the ground holding an axe and growling. A red-skinned monster stares forward, its eyes glowing and sharp tusks protruding from its mouth. Sungwoo holds his knife forward, determined, as Jisoo and another companion recoil in terror behind him, shouting that the new enemy is bigger than the goblin boss. Jisoo stares forward with a strained eye, a bead of sweat trickling down his temple as he realizes orcs are coming after the goblins. A red-skinned monster with glowing eyes and sharp teeth raises its axe overhead, roaring as it stands over defeated bodies on the wooden floor. An impact creates an explosive burst of red and orange energy. A monstrous figure with glowing red eyes and an axe descends from a fiery opening, plummeting towards Jisoo and two others on the staircase. Sungwoo stares with an intense and determined expression, smirking as he realizes that material for a new skeleton has just turned up. A red-skinned monster leaps through the air as Sungwoo smirks, identifying it as new material for his skeletons. A monstrous red boar with glowing eyes appears aggressively, and Sungwoo recoils in terror. Righty unleashes a massive blast of red and yellow energy from his sword, sending the surrounding human and robotic figures flying from the force. Hanho looks around with a shocked and terrified expression as thorny vegetation erupts from the forest floor, quickly overwhelming his position. A boar-like warrior with glowing eyes and large tusks lunges forward, wielding an axe amidst a fiery energy. Jisoo, engulfed in a red and orange energy aura, rapidly swings her blade downwards and strikes a large, dark, furry creature. Jisoo's face contorts in agony as a powerful blast of red and orange energy strikes her upper body. A monstrous figure with glowing eyes lifts a massive club high into the air, towering over Jisoo. Jisoo smashes her green-clawed hand into her opponent, causing an explosion of light and debris that obliterates them. Jisoo delivers a kick, causing a fiery explosion on impact. Sungwoo screams with a furious expression, his face contorted in a rage-filled shout as he orders his forces to block the enemy. A claw-like maw of turquoise energy clacks open and shut, throwing off sparks. Righty, a small, cloaked skeleton with glowing eyes, lunges forward and swings his glowing staff toward a large, muscular arm. The red-skinned monster with glowing eyes and tusks snorts as it swings a large weapon. The one-armed warrior activates, its eyes glowing behind its mask as it delivers a powerful strike with a staff-like weapon, increasing the chance for its first attack to cause a bleeding effect by 88%. Jisoo descends from above, bringing her powerful, glowing sword down onto the large, boar-like monster. A red armored arm smashes a blunt weapon downward, creating a burst of energy and debris. Jisoo grips her sword and stares up a staircase where a silhouetted figure yells for her to hurry to stable ground. The woman in the red hoodie lunges forward with her sword, frustrated that her block was broken through immediately. Jisoo wields his sword and instructs Hanho and Sungwoo to keep their distance from the hooded figures. He tells them they must fight it the same way they fought the goblin boss. The large, monstrous creature with glowing eyes holds an axe and violently stomps its foot onto a wooden surface, surrounded by a fiery glow. Sungwoo looks on with a concerned expression as the hooded Jisoo and the skull-headed Righty stand with swords drawn, ready to fight in the burning forest. Jisoo, Hanho, and Righty observe from an elevated, wooded area as a large monster below gets powerfully stomped by an unseen force, causing it to scream. Sungwoo intensely instructs a distressed Jisoo to follow the plan. He states the skeletons will always sacrifice themselves for her. He notes the many corpses on the ground and confirms he just needs to keep an eye on his mana. The monstrous figure with glowing eyes roars, its body engulfed in violent red energy. Righty stands in a dark forest holding a large axe, surrounded by several smaller cloaked figures, while one on the ground reaches for a nearby skull. Hanho delivers a powerful strike, sending a sword flying through a fiery explosion behind him. Righty rapidly pummels his opponent with a barrage of powerful green glowing blows. The monstrous figure roars as it clashes with the shadowy combatants, surrounded by an explosion of energy and flying weapons. A sword impales Jisoo from behind, and two skeletal creatures with glowing eyes surround him against a fiery background. Righty slams its fist into the cloaked figure, sending them flying backward from the impact. The tusked monster grimaces in pain and surprise as Jisoo grabs it by the head. The red-skinned monster with glowing eyes holds two incapacitated figures by their wraps, letting them dangle against a fiery background. Sungwoo clashes with an opponent, their weapons lock together as intense flames erupt around them. Righty swings his sword down in a powerful strike against the large, tusked monster, creating a fiery burst of energy on impact. Jisoo strikes her opponent with a glowing upward slash, spraying blood into the air. Jisoo attacks the large, horned enemy with his glowing sword, causing a powerful explosion of light as a skull-faced figure observes from above. Righty, a small skeletal figure with glowing eyes, wields a scythe and swiftly flies past a roaring, tusked monster. Righty is impaled through the back by a glowing green projectile, blood splattering from the wound as he begins to collapse. Jisoo screams as fiery energy erupts from her body, her eyes glowing while a system notification announces she has received 110 gold for defeating an orc patrol leader. Sungwoo clenches his fist while thinking about the patrol leader he fought, concluding it was only slightly stronger than an average orc and easier than the boss, as Jisoo stands somberly behind him. Sungwoo extends his hand over the defeated monster's corpse, but he looks up in surprise as a system message appears, stating that he cannot command the dead because his level is too low to summon mid-level monsters. Sungwoo touches his face in frustration, concluding he is still too weak to summon an orc. Sungwoo reveals he picked the Necromancer class and asks Jisoo about her card choice. A spectral skeleton manifests beside Jisoo, who stands holding a sword within a burst of glowing turquoise energy. Jisoo looks up with a concerned expression, holding her chosen class card. She reveals she picked the Tiger Hunter class, a specialization from the Joseon dynasty for hunting beasts. Jisoo admits she only chose it because she liked the color of the card but is disappointed that it's only a 3-star class. Hanho stands dejected against an orange sky, sighing as he realizes he is the only one who received a 1-star class. Jisoo gathers bright turquoise energy into her hand, surrounded by swirling dark mana, now that her own mana has recovered and she is ready to test new skills. Jisoo stands engulfed in green energy as a system window opens, displaying his Create Bone Weapons skill and its options for a sword, club, spear, or bow. Sungwoo maintains a serious expression as he contemplates whether a higher-level club would be a better weapon, causing the bone item to shatter into glowing fragments. Sungwoo holds 2 large bone weapons, testing their surprisingly lightweight in his hands as he reads the item information window identifying them as the common rank club, Orc's Thigh Bone Hammer. Righty tosses a bone club into the air, instructing his allies to each take one. Righty's skeletal soldiers stand ready in a dark cavern, their blue eyes glowing as they grip their bone weapons. They activate 2 weapon synergies, increasing their damage output and adding a chance to inflict a feint status with their attacks. Sungwoo's eyes widen as he urgently grabs the wrist of an unresponsive helmeted figure, a glowing blue interface appearing next to his head. Hanho accepts a large, elaborate sword from an unseen character, his eyes wide with overwhelming gratitude as he stammers his thanks. Hanho explains to Sungwoo that he is only lending him an item held by a nearby skeleton. He instructs Sungwoo to return the item to the skeleton on his command. Hanho then references the powerful synergy effect of the one-armed warrior and states they cannot just cut off one of Sungwoo's arms to achieve it. Jisoo leads the group down a long wooden staircase, holding her sword. Hanho, Sungwoo, and Righty follow closely behind her, armed and ready. Several people walk carefully across a tiled floor, cautiously descending. Hanho points forward from behind Sungwoo, asking him why the cars are arranged that way as Sungwoo stares ahead with a startled expression. Sungwoo, Jisoo, Hanho, Righty, and Jinseok stand together on an abandoned city street, their path blocked by a door sealed with a glowing purple magical force. A system message floats in the air before them stating the door is locked by a strong magical force and requires the defeat of the area's boss monster to be opened. The message includes a warning. If they fail to defeat the boss within the 8-minute time limit, all monsters in the area will become stronger. A glowing door is sealed by magical chains and a padlock displaying a system message. The message states the door is locked by a strong magical force and can only be opened by defeating the area's boss monster. A timer begins with a warning that if the boss is not defeated in time, all other monsters in the area will grow stronger. A system notification beeps, showing the time is 8:30 a.m. Jisoo, Sungwoo, and Hanho react with surprise and concern as a bright system alert flashes before them, warning that an orc unit is beginning a hunt and will track them by smell. Jisoo and her 2 companions gather around a glowing screen, reading an urgent alert about an orc unit detected in the beginning zone. The message explains that orcs track their prey by smell and that the size of the hunting party is determined by the number of targets. Jisoo looks on with concern, realizing they are being actively hunted but deducing that their small group size might mean they only have to fight a few enemies. A foot stomps down, shattering the ground. An orc-like creature with glowing eyes roars and charges forward, gripping a large axe as it stomps heavily on the ground. Jisoo is impaled by a sword through the shoulder as Hanho screams in the foreground and Sungwoo looks on in wide-eyed shock. Sungwoo and 2 others observe a large building erupt in an intense orange and red glow as a scream echoes from inside, while one companion interacts with a holographic screen. Jisoo stares in shock at the burning building, her expression turning to alarm as she realizes the student council group was in that exact location. Sungwoo stands confidently between Jisoo and Hanho, surrounded by floating skull entities. He declares his satisfaction with the Necromancer class and its efficient synergy. Jisoo and Hanho watch him with impressed expressions. A system message announces the first attack has begun, specifying 5 orcs are involved. Jisoo and Jinseok stare in shock at a glowing blue notification announcing the first attack has begun with 5 orcs. Jinseok panics, realizing that even 5 orcs is a significant threat. Hanho screams in terror from inside a car as it speeds away from a distant, brightly glowing monster. 5 orcs advance through the twilight, snarling as they hunt for the group. One orc growls Sungwoo's name, confirming Jisoo and Jinseok are the targets. Jinseok questions what they should do as the orcs approach them. Jisoo stands silhouetted against the orange sky, looking intently to his right. A yellow glow illuminates Jisoo's face as her eye widens with a sudden idea. Hanho, looking distressed in his dark cloak, asks Jisoo if her idea is to run away, causing her to stare at him with an annoyed expression. They declare their plan to set a trap. Sungwoo smirks and points towards Righty and the small glowing skeletons, planning to use them and the surrounding parked cars for his strategy. A hand grips an axe, holding its blade near a person's body on the ground. Large, tusked figures wielding axes advance through a street littered with defeated bodies and blood among the parked cars. Jisoo slams the large, red creature against a car, her glowing skeletal hand tightening around its throat. Jinseok stands on top of a car, radiating an intense light as he raises a fist and shouts. Hanho screams defiantly at unseen opponents, his face contorted in rage as he shouts for the greedy pig bastards to look at him. A red-skinned monster with glowing eyes snarls and grips a blunt weapon, its large tusks bared as more creatures appear behind it. Hanho trembles violently, stuttering as he calls the monsters greedy pig bastards before shrieking in terror. A large red beast and a dark-skinned creature with glowing eyes lunge at each other, locking together in a ferocious clash. One armored figure smashes his fist into the other's head. Jisoo and Sungwoo crash into each other, the force of their collision creating an explosion of light. A horde of goblins and robots charges forward, and one creature is immediately sent flying backward by a powerful unseen attack. Multiple figures collide in a burst of force, sending shards of debris scattering through the air as light erupts from the impact. The darker, spiky creature strikes down the reddish-brown, tusked monster, causing it to slump forward and collapse amidst the fiery background. Jisoo charges forward with her katana while Hanho dashes behind her, stepping over the bodies of their fallen enemies. A series of notifications appear, granting 43 gold, 24 gold, 55 gold, 70 gold, and 40 gold for defeating orc hunters. Sungwoo stands over the defeated monster as system messages appear before him, rewarding him with 100 gold for fending off the first wave and announcing that he is leveled up to level 4. Sungwoo looks startled as a blue light emanates from his hand while a system notification announces his maximum minion count has increased by 2, causing him to question if he received a new skill before pausing in confusion. Jisoo's eyes glow with a warm light as he considers his new total of 7 minions, but he realizes the problem is his mana capacity, which is still only 50. Hanho raises a glowing dagger as a bright flash erupts around him, and he yells in excitement after obtaining a skill while Sungwoo watches intently from behind. Hanho repeatedly stabs forward with his dagger at incredible speed, his arm a blur of motion as he maintains intense focus. Sungwoo holds up a glowing, fiery fist and asks Jisoo a question, who looks back over his shoulder with a confident smile. Jisoo is enveloped in a red flare after choosing strength and gaining 2 stat points, feeling her body grow warmer as she senses her increased power. A glowing blue spectral figure emerges from the box Hanho is holding, causing him to stare in alarm as the ghostly apparition rises. Hanho reluctantly hands his long-sheathed sword to the small skeletal creature, looking distressed as he is told he must use a dagger for his skill to take effect. Massive explosions erupt over the city, turning the sky a fiery orange and yellow. Jisoo, Hanho, and Sungwoo emit a bright white glow, standing together as a group with Jinseok and Righty. Jisoo shouts with a clenched fist, a bus burning in the background. An unseen force strikes multiple goblins, throwing their bodies backward amidst violent impacts and sprays of blood. Jisoo, Sungwoo, and Hanho hide behind a large tree, cautiously peering around its side as they count 7 orcs in the distance and note the small size of the group. A glowing red blade slices across the tusked, green-skinned creature's chest, causing an explosion of orange and red energy from the impact. Sungwoo watches with a worried expression as a fire burns in the background, realizing everyone will be killed because their only attack is ineffectively stabbing at orcs with spears through the windows. Jisoo watches with concern as 2 figures clash in the background, and she decides they must intervene to help. Hanho formulates a plan to ambush the 7 orcs near a bus stop by launching a pincer attack, with one group striking from the rear while a spear user engages them from the front to make them easy prey. Sungwoo stands in profile with a thoughtful expression, a red bracelet on his wrist, as an obscured figure observes him from the right against a fiery orange background. Jisoo stares intently with a determined and serious gaze, resting one hand near his chin in a thoughtful pose. An armored figure smashes into a large vehicle, and Jisoo watches the chaotic impact with a look of concern. Sungwoo smiles confidently and points forward, suddenly proposing they show the orcs the convenience of civilization instead. Sungwoo points forward with a smirk as Hanho shouts in shock. Jisoo watches the exchange calmly. A wall shatters into fragments from a powerful impact, emanating a bright, destructive light from the point of destruction. Sungwoo shouts at Jisoo in frustration, questioning why he isn't using his long, glowing spear effectively. Jisoo stands with his mechanical arms, holding the weapon as Sungwoo yells at him to attack. Sungwoo shouts with a furious and desperate expression, his face highlighted by an intense orange glow. Jisoo and Hanho huddle together inside the damaged vehicle, screaming in terror as a red light fills the interior through the cracked windows. An orc growls in alarm, baring its sharp fangs as another orc behind it looks on with a confused expression. Righty drives the spiked, destructive vehicle directly into the large, horned red creature lying on the ground. A burst of energy erupts within the enclosed space, engulfing two armored figures. Two men in a vehicle stare forward in complete shock as one shouts at his companion Kyungsoo, questioning the sudden appearance of skeletons outside. Jisoo battles a swarm of monstrous entities in a fiery cityscape, the creatures with glowing eyes surrounding her from every direction. Hanho screams in terror and raises his hands as a bright light suddenly fills the entire area. Jisoo and Hanho stand alert as the room falls silent, with Hanho nervously asking if their enemies are gone. Jisoo stares with wide, startled eyes at a glowing, skull-like entity emanating bright blue energy. The glowing entity violently throws Jisoo backward. She screams for it to get away from her and yells for the door to be opened. Jinseok repeatedly knocks on the door from outside, demanding entry. A shadowy skeletal figure forces a door open and reaches in with its large hand, while Hanho and the other survivors frantically pound on the door, screaming to be let out. Bloody bodies lie scattered on the ground next to a pickup truck, a discarded weapon resting beside them. The orange light of the sun streams through the open door of an empty bus, illuminating the interior. Jisoo clings to Jinseok inside the damaged vehicle, crying with relief that they survived. A hand tightly grips a crude bone weapon amidst a fiery explosion and flying debris. Jisoo punches a glowing blue screen while a skull-like robot hovers in the background. Sungwoo wipes his brow in exhaustion as Hanho looks on with concern, asking what he is doing. Hanho points his finger with a wide, smug grin, squinting one eye as a bright yellow aura radiates from him. Hanho pushes through the group, declaring he has money for the glowing vending machine, then stops and accuses another person of breaking it by hitting it. Sungwoo looks apprehensive as an armed group holding a spear and a sword gathers on the street, and he reluctantly agrees to continue their discussion. Sungwoo points with a surprised and questioning expression, asking if the machine spits out items. Righty confirms to Jisoo that they tried it themselves, explaining they only had enough gold to do it once. An old computer monitor sits on a desk, its screen casting an orange glow while a yellow sticky note on its side reads, "If you need this, go ahead and take it," as a voice explains that following the instructions gave them items. Sungwoo and Hanho stand in front of a building that appears to be a shop, Sungwoo holding a soda can while Hanho stares with a surprised expression. A blue digital interface appears, displaying a message that reads, "Welcome to the E-Rank store. Press any key to proceed." Hanho extends his hand, a braided accessory on his wrist, and presses the glowing blue button on the control panel. Sungwoo's eyes widen in apprehension, his mouth slightly open as he nervously swallows. A system window titled F-Lash displays a lucky roulette with 3 options: bronze for 100 points, silver for 1,000, and gold for 10,000, noting that gold is the best tier E-Rank stores can offer. A glowing digital screen displays a lucky roulette with 3 options: bronze for 100, silver for 1,000, and gold for 10,000. A handwritten sticky note attached to its side clarifies that gold is the best option the E-Rank store can offer and tells the user to take it if needed. Sungwoo operates the glowing digital screen as Jisoo and Hanho watch him. Jisoo questions if he will really get items from the machine, but Hanho argues that since they have seen swords fall from the sky, nothing is impossible. Jisoo thoughtfully scratches his cheek, his expression serious. A system window displays a choice for a lucky roulette, listing bronze for 100, silver for 1,000, and gold for 10,000, and notes that gold is the best option available from E-Rank stores. Jisoo states she has 360 gold, making bronze her best option. Hanho reveals he has 584 gold and asks Songwoo for his total. Songwoo hesitates while his status screen shows his class is Necromancer. Songwoo's status screen displays his total of 1,552 gold. Hanho stares in complete shock at the amount, exclaiming that Songwoo now has enough to attempt the silver roulette. A system notification flashes into view, stating he currently has one unlimited rank roulette ticket. Songwoo stares forward with determination, recalling the rewards he received from unlocking the hunting achievement in the lobby and deciding this is his chance to finally use them. Songwoo operates a glowing console as Hanho leans over his shoulder, pointing at the screen to state that an option costs 10,000 gold. Jisoo stares at the gold-grade roulette screen as it displays the result, 3rd place next time, next to her determined portrait and her remaining 52B balance. Hanho freezes while drinking from a can. He and Songwoo stare at a bright screen, both surprised as a chime stops. A blue, pixelated screen displays the game results, showing a 3rd place finish and the message, "Next time," alongside the 1st place ranking. Jisoo and Hanho stare forward with wide-eyed shock, their mouths open in complete amazement. He confirms his suspicion that luck is the most important factor for survival as a system message announces the next reward will be the 1st place equipment. A hand holds the Tear of the Sea Spirit, a glowing blue orb that flares with light as its legendary rank item information appears, showing it increases mana by 300 and boosts mana recovery by 200%. Songwoo and the others stare as Jinseok confidently holds a glowing blue orb, his 1st place prize from the gold roulette. The sun sets over the city, silhouetting buildings and buses against the sky as one person yells for another to spin the silver roulette, prompting a question about their excitement. Jisoo stands determinedly in the foreground with her glowing blade while Songwoo looks on in surprise from behind with his shield as announcements declare them both 2nd place. Hanho holds a box of C-rank potions with an annoyed expression, complaining that he was the only one to receive such an item. Jisoo turns with a concerned expression, a katana strapped to her back, and asks if they should go help with the ongoing situation at the sports field. Hanho stammers as he asks Songwoo if they are going to show them the convenience of civilization again. Songwoo pulls a large metallic weapon from a vehicle, confidently stating he will use something bigger this time. Jinseok is overwhelmed by axe-wielding monsters, screaming for help as they close in while Jisoo turns and flees from the attack. A white and red energy attack pierces the dark-clad figure, exploding in a burst of light. Jisoo, Jinseok, Hanho, Songwoo, and Raidi are surrounded by swarming red-skinned monsters. Jinseok shouts for the wounded party to group up and establish an escape route. They struggle to regroup as the creatures attack from all sides. A man flares with bright energy and shouts to Daesung that people are trapped in the stands, while a woman behind him looks on with concern. Songwoo unleashes a roar and a blinding blast of energy, causing a man and woman to scream in terror amidst the surrounding shadowy figures. Jisoo grits his teeth, sweat pouring down his face as he radiates intense energy, screaming that they cannot worry about other people now. A man shouts an order at Jinseok and Hyungmin, commanding them to lead the way with their shields as fire burns around them. A large creature with glowing eyes growls and turns toward a blinding light as a vehicle horn honks. A large muscular figure slams down, the impact creating an explosion of force that scatters the smaller, glowing red creatures. An explosion rips through a bus on the road, throwing debris and unidentified figures into the air amidst a flash of red and yellow light. Jisoo lunges forward with a manic grin, shouting about earning gold from her kills. Hanho watches in shock as multiple system notifications appear, announcing she has received gold for defeating several orc hunters. Hanho frantically clutches his dagger, facing off against a fanged monster, while a nearby skull emanates a blue light from its glowing eyes. Jisoo emanates a fiery glow, his body straining as he holds back a moving bus and shouts for everyone to get on quickly. Hanho and his companions react in fear as a large, red-skinned creature emanating a fiery aura charges toward them. Hanho recognizes the monster instantly while his companion shouts, regretting their decision not to follow someone else. The group turns and sprints away immediately. Jisoo fiercely attacks the large, shadowy orc, swinging her glowing sword down at the creature she confronts again. A shadowy creature with glowing red eyes roars, unleashing a fiery impact. The heavy, axe-like weapon strikes a metallic object, sending a burst of bright sparks flying from the impact. Jisoo grits his teeth, sweat covering his face as fiery energy erupts around him, finally blocking the attack without being pushed back. The horned monster is engulfed by an explosive burst of fire and energy, letting out a roar from within the blast. Jisoo's eyes glow red as she unleashes a fiery slash attack. Jisoo unleashes fiery energy from her hands with a triumphant expression, which then shifts to surprise and concern. Jisoo, cloaked with a shield on her back, holds a dagger ready as she stands with Jinseok, who wields his sword. They both face the monstrous enemies waiting for them under the fiery orange sky. Jisoo is repeatedly impaled by numerous daggers, staggering backward from the assault as Righty hovers near her. A combatant violently thrusts a sword into Jisoo's body, splattering blood. Jisoo, in her horned form, repeatedly smashes her fists into the prone opponent, sending blood splattering with each brutal impact. Righty hovers above, watching the attack. Multiple daggers strike the large, dark-clad figure, creating bright flashes of light with each impact. A large enemy lies defeated on the battlefield, its body pierced by numerous swords, while Righty and another figure move around the corpse as Sungwoo's strategy is praised for its incredible efficiency. Jisoo watches the battle with a concerned and observant expression, noting he maintains a constant barrage of attacks against the monsters from a distance. His attacks keep the monsters in check, preventing their approach, and she observes that each of his minions has a clearly defined role. Jisoo clenches her hand around the hilt of her golden sword. A figure in red armor stands dominant over defeated foes and glowing-eyed skeletal creatures in a fiery landscape. He is impaled by multiple swords but remains completely unfazed, showing no signs of pain amidst the chaos. Hanho rushes forward at Jisoo on the road. Jisoo stands calmly, holding her sword in front of a bus. Jisoo stands over a fallen combatant, her shield raised and katana drawn, confronting the skull-masked Jinseok on the blood-stained street. Jinseok tilts his head and asks what she is doing here. Jinseok pants heavily, sweat beading on his face as he asks Jisoo why she is fighting the monsters she supposedly wanted to avoid. Sungwoo looks to his left with a cunning smile, asking if they would be cruel enough to hold a grudge. Sungwoo stands ready with his sword and shield as his skeleton companion, Righty, holds a sword beside him. He tells his opponent he won't cooperate after seeing them abandon people and run away. Jinseok appears flustered as he defensively explains himself to a stern Hanho, insisting he only meant to make a strategic retreat to reorganize his team, not abandon them. Hanho stands determined on a crowded bus, his face marked with streaks as he shields a frightened woman behind him and asks if the other passengers will agree. Jisoo grits his teeth, his face contorted in a strained expression as sweat drips down. The orc chief roars in fury over the failed hunt. Jisoo shudders and looks over his shoulder in panic, seeing a monstrous shadow with glowing eyes looming directly behind him. Jisoo, Hanho, and Righty stand together, looking up in terror under an orange sky. Hanho trembles and shouts Daeseong's name in panic. Sungwoo stands in the doorway of a bus holding a large shield, looking back at the group. He announces that the bus is departing now and tells them to get on only if they are willing to follow his orders. Jinseok and another man react with distress as a figure's legs walk past them. Jinseok turns to Daeseong in a panic, stating with resignation that they have no choice. Sungwoo glances back over his shoulder, gesturing with his hand as he commands them to take off their chainmail. Jisoo gestures with his hands open and shouts, questioning why he must hand over his armor and how he is supposed to protect his body without it. Sungwoo confidently smiles as he winks and makes an OK's hand gesture. A notification announces a level up to LV.5. Sungwoo smiles subtly as he observes a holographic system interface filled with floating digital cards, reading the notification that he can now summon mid-level monsters and realizing he can finally summon orcs. He chooses the skill card for his leveling bonus, and a system message confirms his maximum number of commandable minions has increased by 2, bringing his new total to 9. Sungwoo flinches at a sudden noise from behind him, his eyes widening in alarm as he turns toward the sound. Righty struggles to move, his small body burdened by the oversized and ill-fitting chainmail. A skeleton minion attacks with its staff and endures a hit as swirling magical energy flows into its body, strengthening it. Sungwoo looks concerned, stating he named the one-armed skeleton Righty because calling him one-arm seemed harsh. He decides the enhancement is not working and commands the minion to take it off. Hanho, wearing a black cloak, looks at Sungwoo with a concerned expression and attempts to get his attention, but Sungwoo is distracted by a crumbled item in his hand while a small masked figure stands beside them. Hanho speaks to the concerned crowd with wide eyes, stating that they will need another bus. A bus speeds down a city street. Sungwoo looks up with a determined expression, his turquoise eyes bright in the surrounding red glow, as he states they are not going to keep moving. Multiple pairs of legs walk through a crowded space. Sungwoo stands elevated within the crowded vehicle to get everyone's attention, announcing to Hanho and the other passengers that the fight against the orcs will begin shortly. A blue notification panel flashes, announcing the orc chief has decided to wage an all-out war, and it states orcs will now hunt survivors with the intention of eliminating them. Sungwoo holds a strap inside a dimly lit vehicle, staring intently forward as a red glow shines from outside. He thinks about the quest's conditions, concluding they must kill the leader to escape the college grounds because the scenario is unavoidable. Righty sits inside a vehicle with his right hand bandaged, speaking with a distressed expression as he reports seeing a large number of them at the gym. Jisoo, Hanho, and Jinseok react with alarm to Righty's report of roughly 100 monsters, their faces showing distress and shock. Jisoo's eyes widen in disbelief. Hanho looks on in open-mouthed terror, and Jinseok's expression becomes grim. A system message announces that imperfect teamwork has resulted in adverse penalty effects. System windows appear before the despairing team members, detailing penalties for clumsiness, sluggishness, and low morale. Jisoo, Hanho, and Sungwoo see the debuffs reduce the team's speed and attack power, causing the others to panic and question their ability to fight over 100 orcs. Jisoo looks to the side with a thoughtful expression, realizing there should be far fewer orcs left after killing so many, and she sighs as the situation finally makes sense. Jisoo stands with her back to Sungwoo and the group, declaring she will fight them alone because not everyone with a weapon will necessarily be helpful. Hanho shouts in disbelief, asking if Sungwoo has lost his mind and demanding to know what he means by going alone. Sungwoo looks upward with a determined expression and declares he will face the orcs by himself. The crowd whispers in shock and confusion. They question what Sungwoo said, wondering if he has gone mad and lamenting that they can no longer trust anyone. Sungwoo smirks and cackles, taunting his enemy while surrounded by intimidated individuals. Jinseok and his two companions stand with triumphant smirks, taunting their unseen opponent. They tell him he's digging his own grave and was only lucky before, sneering that they will enjoy watching him get owned this time. Jinseok smirks, looking down and to the right as he speaks about a pathetic bastard who is going to wind up dead soon. Jisoo gestures with a concerned expression towards Sungwoo, questioning what he is saying and insisting it would be an uphill battle even if they all joined forces. Jisoo stares up with wide eyes as a large, looming figure confronts her, repeating her own words about not working with people weaker than his skeletons. Jisoo looks up with a surprised and slightly worried expression, her face illuminated by a warm glow as she tells her companion they were right and are helpful. Sungwoo stands inside a vehicle, looking down with a subtle smirk as he states things might get too dangerous this time, explaining he came to this conclusion after carefully weighing their options. A woman expresses concern that Sungwoo is fighting too recklessly and abandoning his usual strategic style, while below them, Hanho reacts in fear and another man looks on with a smug expression. The setting sun illuminates the city's buildings and rooftops. Several armed figures stand on a rooftop, their hands resting on a katana and a dagger. Sungwoo stands at the top of a staircase, a bright aura emanating from him as small, glowing-eyed skeletal figures surround him. Sungwoo looks up at a large building, his gaze fixed on a single brightly glowing window as the sun sets. Hanho and his companions stare out a window with concerned expressions at the fiery red world outside, and he voices his disbelief that someone is really going to face the threat alone. Jinseok holds his large shield and watches a distant bus get enveloped in a bright explosion. Sungwoo and his two companions watch from inside a bus, their expressions tense as they discuss a rescue plan, with one ready to accelerate the vehicle if something goes wrong. Jisoo stands on the steps with a shield on her back, facing a swarm of shadowy figures silhouetted by the orange sky. A large group of heavily armored figures marches forward across a striped field, advancing on a smaller, diverse group of individuals. The large red monster roars, surrounded by shadowy figures as they all emanate a powerful orange and red glow. Sungwoo stares intently off-panel, his heart pounding as he questions whether the red-haired figure is the orc chief. A large red monster snarls, its fangs bared and its eyes glowing against a fiery background. A horde of monstrous figures with glowing eyes charges forward under a red sky, one raising an axe as they all roar. Point raise. Sungwoo stands poised on the steps with a large weapon on his back, flanked by two skeletal figures including Righty. He declares it's time for them to get moving. A heavy, armored weapon covered in spikes smashes into its target, causing an explosion of sparks and debris. Sungwoo stands beside his small, masked companion, holding a large, studded shield as they both face a bright golden light, determined to hold the line. Sungwoo holds a glowing object to illuminate a dark staircase, explaining to the man beside him that it is essentially identical to a small gorge. Righty stands in his heavy armor beside a small skeleton, confronting a menacing group of larger, glowing-eyed skeleton figures. He speaks his final words to his companions, preparing for a last stand. Righty, the massive red figure, charges forward at high speed, hurtling directly toward two skeletal figures armed with daggers. Jisoo activates Wild Berserker as her hand surges upward from the center of a fiery magic circle, increasing her attack and attack speed against all goblin-type enemies for 10 minutes. A volley of daggers shoots through the air, trailing sparks as they speed forward. One armored warrior drives his sword into the other, the blade striking his opponent's armor. Manhwa and the others cram together, peering anxiously through a narrow opening as he admits he thought this was the end for them. Manhwa stands with his determined companions, some glowing with a blue energy, and declares they will fight to protect themselves. Jisoo stands confidently between two large, shadowy, horned figures emanating blue flames and red light. Jisoo and several other cloaked figures stare at a small, glowing purple entity on a distant platform.